Hello, welcome to Stop Questioning Everything, the official Drug Receipts podcast. My name is Arlo Eisenberg. Welcome to the, we are the brand at the convergence of IRL and URL, and the only brand consistently delivering mind-altering substance. We promote the pillars of art and subversion, science and skepticism, and community and sport. And if you're here, then that means you know that we've had to put up with the delay, so thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for your patience and your understanding. We had some technical difficulties when we tried to originally broadcast last week, but we are here and we are going to bring you all of the content, including a complete recap of the Drug Wars finals. An epic final battle went down for the Drug Wars tournament. We've got some ghost stories that we'd like to share with you. I'm wearing my ghost t-shirt from Franco Shade. And we've got a very special guest. We actually have a ton of very special guests. Dia is going to come in to help us with some skeptical content. We might have a surprise visit from a couple of our finalists from the Drug Wars tournament. And I think that the esteemed Brooke Howard-Smith might be able to stop in for a few moments between boarding a yacht and deplaning his hovercraft. So we'll look forward to that. If you're watching or if you're listening on a streaming service, then we'll remind you that we are broadcasting on YouTube, so we'll have a lot of visual content, especially this one, since we are recapping the Drug Wars. We're going to show you the battle cards. We're going to show you who won. We're going to dive into the Drug Wars prize vault, so plenty of visual content to share with you. Oh, and we might be dropping some serious alpha here. We might be dropping some Halloween information for you. We've got a very special Halloween drop coming up. And we're going to share that with you as well as we get into our ghost stories. So you'll want to stick around for that, but also you'll want to check out the YouTube stream if you're not watching it now to see exactly what that looks like, because it is very snug and cool. With all that said, today is October 17th, 2022, at least here in the States. It's already October 18th in New Zealand. This is episode number 19, and we are finally ready to get into it and share a lot of great information with you. So let's get into the routine checkup and bring up the rest of the team. This is the routine checkup is where we'll start. That is not,
here we are.
Not satisfying there, but here's Trevor, here's Jesse for the routine checkup. And guys, this is a special edition of the routine checkup. We're actually going to take it over basically and turn it into a Drug Wars recap, right, Trevor?
Absolutely. It's that's the ultimate Greg you've pulled on the whole lot. Everybody's tuned in, and it's just going to be a recap. That's all we're doing today. No, we have a whole lot on the show. So buckle in, get your favorite accoutrements, and join us because we're settling in for the long. Oh, look who's arrived! Only on the screen.
Oh yeah, hi guys.
Trevor, not only is this not just going to be a Drug Wars recap, but you were actually teasing, right, in your backdrop, what else is to come. We are teasing the Halloween drop.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
It's going to be big.
Speaking of Halloween, Jesse, who are you dressed up as?
Today, I'm starting off by being dressed up as a spa bear. So it's a bear who's enjoying a nice day at the spa.
Oh, how precious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's cool. Very sweet. And
that
Brooke,
because
I don't have that
you're
too. Obviously, you're a villain from Die Hard.
Yeah, exactly. You have exactly 9 hours.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. Brooke, welcome. This guys, it's sort of been a long road getting here, but we finally have a podcast and we're finally going to get to pay off the Drug Wars tournament. What an epic tournament.
It is.
It
was really outside of that one blip where it was unenjoyable for me. It was enjoyable for me. The whole thing was great.
Well, Brooke, you're going to get a second chance. You'll get a second chance at it because one of the things we'll be doing in a recap is we're going to kick off the battle of the bosses. So you'll have a second life, a chance to redeem yourself.
Can I use a new set?
Nope, not in this round. You'll have to wait till the next Drug Wars. But you can use whatever propaganda you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You better be quick because your battle is already, or is it? Are you underway yet?
All of them are. Should be all of them.
Really?
All of them are underway. Yeah, I can see you there. You're taking on. I will get to that. Let's not let the
Crypto walkers. Okay, moving along. Come
We
on.
are going to go into
No.
the boss battles and officially launch them officially on the official podcast at the official time. So, shall we get into what the wrap? Like, have a quick look at the finals, or do we want to go into the?
So I think leading up, let's start with the hors d'oeuvres. So we've got some other kind of mini teams to recognize, right? So throughout the tournament, we had different curated sets that were also competing. We had the Team Tabby, we had the Cap Crew, the Siren Squad, and the Rex Riders, and we also had DRX set. And so we wanted to recognize the teams that made it the furthest for each one of those curated teams.
Cool.
Yeah. So we can start with those. We'll take a look at those teams and pay them off. The first one we're going to look at is the DRX set. And this one, actually, there was a tie. Two teams made it to the same round. The tiebreaker was the team in that round that garnered the most votes. So this is the DRX set. That means one of each character made it the furthest. You see that Rex, Cap, Tabby, and Siren are all represented in this team. So Blue Angels, congratulations. And they made it to round 4, which was the quarterfinals. So Blue Angels representing for the DRX set. And the DRX set was the inspiration kind of for the whole tournament and the reason that they are built in teams of 4s, because there are 4 characters. So that's kind of like the OG curation right there.
There it is. And so we've got the Siren Squad up next. Is that right? So that's the DRX set. And then we have a Siren Squad, which was Serengeti Out of Here, was the last remaining Siren Squad in the competition.
We actually had several Siren Squads represented in the tournament. You know, early on we said we were sort of advocating for Siren because Siren is the least represented in the collection. All the characters do not appear evenly in our 10K collection. Siren appears the least, or appears least frequently, but people did step up to the plate. We got quite a few Siren entries, and this one, Serengeti Out of Here, made it the furthest, making it all the way to round 4, also making it into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and I, John, you can come back to us and our pretty faces if you want. This tournament made me love Siren even more because I started seeing how well you could curate them, especially that set with the yellow body and on the blue backgrounds and the yellow. It's very, very cool.
And Brooke, we know that you infamously obsessed over your set. Did you put together any Siren teams, any Siren squads when you were experimenting?
No, I got obsessed with DRX sets, which just added a massive, I mean, that always adds a layer of, everything adds a layer of trouble. Where you find out that there is no version of a particular type of thing. Anyways, let's not talk about it. It's really upsetting me.
It's hard work, right? It's a challenging thing to do, which is kind of
100%.
You see somebody do it well. It's hats off.
Hey, there's a really good crew in watching today, a whole heap of folks, and it's so good to see Lander back in there. And nice
hi, Snugglers. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, hi, everybody.
And for those who are following along in the Discord, and I don't know if you are, Brooke, but there is a drinking game going on. So Metaverse D has posted the rules.
That's cool. I like that. That's
game.
awesome.
So if you're in Discord, jump into mainline. You'll see what the rules are. Grab your favorite beverage, and good luck in 2 hours' time.
Could be our thing, guys. That could definitely be our thing. Every time Arlo goes over 30 minutes or shows his nipples, is that what it is?
That was one of them.
Drink.
That was one of them.
Yep, you've got to show a foot, Brooke, and apparently that causes another.
Oh no, let's not do that. Not encourage that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Brooke shows a foot, it's the entire glass, not just a sip.
Now, you've only got my brilliance for another 4.5 minutes.
All right, so let's see. So let's look at Team Tabby. Team Tabby was definitely one of the more popular entries. Team Tabby and Cap Crews definitely made up most of the curated team entries. So the Team Tabby that made it the furthest and that actually went up against the most successful DRX set is Babes in Blue. Here, a gorgeous Team Tabby set, all tabbies, all in the dark blue backgrounds. And they also made it to round 4. As mentioned, they actually faced Blue Angels, the DRX set, in round 4. So another quarterfinalist. So it's actually quite interesting because a lot of the curated teams different curated teams all made it into the quarterfinals. You had a Team Tabby in there. You had a Siren Squad in there. You had a DRX set in there. The only one that wasn't represented in the quarterfinals was Rex Riders, but we will get to that. So the Cap Crew, and Cap Crew was the most represented of all the curated teams. Lots of great Cap combinations. And not surprisingly, Cap, whereas Siren is the least represented in the 10K collection, Cap is the most represented. So there's a lot of options out there. And Cap is the original kind of drug receipts character, so it's fitting. But the Cap Crew character, or the Cap Crew team that made it the furthest, is M&M's. And as we know, M&M's made it all the way to the finals. So good for M&M. And really, really beautiful.
Are you saying that because you don't? Do we not? Have we not announced who won? Is that you keeping that?
No.
Oh, okay.
We haven't announced who won. Nobody knows. It could be that team, or it could be a green.
Cool. Okay, that's exciting. That's something to.
We know that they made it to the finals, and so then the rounding out the curated teams here is the Rex Riders team, and they only the furthest that any Rex Riders team made it was to round 2, only the second round, which is really surprising because there were some really good Rex Rider submissions, including this one, Search and Rescue. Great curation, really good lore with these. Honestly, some of the best team names were Rex Riders teams.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So Rex in the next Drug Wars, hopefully Rex Riders will have a better run, because I think they definitely got the short end of the stick in this tournament.
Yeah, totally. So
all right,
you're
so
saying I can't. You're saying I can't enter my Umbrella as a dangerous team, is what you're saying. In this, it's already done. It's already going with Green Beach.
I know. I wish you could. I wish you would. That one I love a lot.
Okay, we'll move along.
Next
My
time.
umbrella phobia. Okay, so that brings us to the final recap. So can we just have a quick look at what the final matchup was? We only need to look at it for a second because everybody tuned in knows exactly what was going down. But the M&Ms, or Mr. Nicely, took on Make Love Not War, aka Mrs. Nicely, in the battle that was House Nicely.
Do we have those cards? I know that this
we
was...
have those cards, I believe, to show, so we can have a look at each individual team really quickly. So M&M's looked something like this, as we saw a moment ago. There it is. And you'll also see the Make Love Not War team looking very much like this.
Stay still, everybody.
Like this.
Stay still, everybody. What if we act out like the Make Love Not War? Which one? It says Make Love Not War on it.
I hope
we can describe it. It's got
Do you
two
know
couples.
Do you know I was supposed to be doing a podcast with Joellen this morning at 7 a.m., which I told her about yesterday, which meant she woke up at like 5:30 to get ready for it, and the guest had cancelled, and so poor Joellen.
That's why she's feeling under the weather now. So you did it.
That's right.
Torpedo.
You just leave casualties in your path everywhere you go, Brooke Howard Smith.
I like to think, though.
Casualties of lifestyle. So we're going to try. Hopefully, we've got the Make Love Not War team ready to.
So, Joellen, it might be that the last graphic that we were putting together has the two teams faced up against each other that Dawn was putting together. If we have that image now's the time for it. Yeah,
final match. Yep.
Exactly.
That'll do. The final match card looks like this. So there it is. And you can see the Make Love Not War team there. So this is the final showdown as it went down. And without further ado, let's reveal straight into the winner announcement, please. The winner of that match was...
There we go. Look at that.
M&M's.
Who remembers when I said I'd bet $100 with everyone that M&M's going to win? I knew it. It's just too good.
Yeah, you said that in the green room when we all logged in after we knew the results.
Yeah, I think you're responsible for their victory. They owe you half their pot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, listen, I am about to meet with TikTok about Web3 login. It's very exciting, and so I would not leave this for anything else. but just the notion of being involved in one more great drug receipts recap. In years from now, these will be studied, by the way.
They will.
I
They are
don't know if
exercise.
Can I tell you
anyone's
one
on this-
little? Can I give you one little interesting tidbit before you go?
Mhm.
Because the final score on this, and this is not planned or we didn't make this up, but the actual final tally on this, which the community will appreciate and love, was 40 for Make Love, Not War, and 69 was the winning score for M&M's.
There it is.
Wow.
Of course, in
Like
Web3.
everyone
what
knows
else do you
my
expect?
take on 69, right? Again.
Yeah. Again.
Still yet, no one in the
number was it,
Web3
Rob?
community has done 69 ever. Not since
I know,
Web3
right,
was
yeah.
invented.
What's that number again, Brooke? Isn't it the number of times you say it is directly proportionate to the?
Oh, I don't
what's
know.
that
It's,
number again, Brooke?
it's
Um,
literally, when everyone talks about the rug pull, literally, it's the greatest rug pull ever, was the sense of like 6 to 69. The lack of rug pull. Okay. Well, listen,
Hypersexualized Web3 folk.
I cannot wait to go back to YouTube and watch the next 3 hours on 2.5 speed. And it's going to be amazing. I appreciate
You're gonna love it.
everyone in the community. I'm going to play the drinking game as well. I'm just going to keep looking at my feet and Arlo's nipples and jump in there. Woo! Go for
Show
it.
up with Brooke before you go for the
See you,
drinking
Brooke.
people
Thank
out
you.
there.
Guys, we're replacing me with someone just so much better. Please welcome Jessie.
Seeing the battle of
Ta-da!
Boston.
There she is. Boom!
Oh.
They
I
spot
know. It's not Brooke Howard Smith, but it'll have to do. I can do an impression of him after a few drinks, so maybe we'll get there tonight.
Just do. Is it now your feet? If you show your feet, it's part of the drinking game, or is that?
Different circumstance for me.
Is that
I
why
can't
your
do that
days
for
are
free.
there? Is it
I don't
because
know
you're
what
still-
kind of woman you think I am. If you think I'm not going to sell feet pictures as NFTs, you got me all wrong.
Yeah,
Stay
I
on
don't
the
think we
lookout,
want any
Minty
part of
That's
that
right, this is
action.
YouTube,
We're
not
trying to keep
OnlyFans.
this clean. We're not trying to bring all the foot fetishists into the. I mean, actually, I guess at this point, we're not turning anyone away. We'll take whatever advocates we can get. But yeah, let's try and keep it. Let's try and keep
I hear we're already
the
deep in the foot fetish
caliber of
community.
conversation elevated.
I think we are
but-
the Web3 brand that represents that subculture, aren't we?
So I think Jesse is not the only guest we're bringing on, or not the only other host we're bringing on. We have other guests to join us that can help replace or fill in the void left by Brooke's absence. But we have the two finalists in the green room. Let's bring them up, Mr. and Mrs.
For
Nicely.
your audio and visual pleasure. please
Yeah,
welcome
congratulations, you guys.
House Nicely.
Welcome.
What's up, everybody?
Hello, La Familia Nicely.
La familia.
La
So
familia
nicely,
Nicely.
congratulations. So hey, you finally did it. You got over the hump. No more second place for nicely done.
No, but he's thrown his wife in there to fly the flag.
Put that stigma to rest.
What have the past couple of days been like in the household? Like, have you guys had a sense for who you thought might win? Has it been competitive at all?
A little bit.
A little.
I mean, no, we've been cool. It's
It's fun.
yeah. This whole entire experience has been super fun. From the beginning of the propaganda, coming up with creative ideas to put out propaganda, or creating a song, orchestrating a song to put out for an anthem. It's just been super fun. I've had a blast this last and a half.
Awesome.
That's great. So Cynthia, you're runner up. We're going to share your prize package with you here in just a moment. But I want to take a second to talk about your team because it was so cool. Congratulations on making it so far. We've said in a couple of the recaps that, looking at the teams at the beginning, yours probably would have been somewhat of a dark horse, right, early on. But then it started to gain momentum and picked up a crowd. And I think largely on the strength of your messaging and the propaganda and kind of the lore around it. Talk to us a little bit about the idea for the messaging, how that came together, because it was so cool.
To me, basically, I'm a love person. I love love and I love everything about love. So that's kind of where that came. It wasn't more like about peace. It was more just about love. So,
and you guys already know about the tattoos, and then she also has.
Show it. Let's see it. Let's see a victory. You can see the victory knuckles right here.
Keep it forever.
We're on
Legendary.
I'm
She also has "Do All Things with Love" tattooed on her side. So
on my ribs. So
Oh.
yeah,
yeah.
that's what it was all about.
So really
Can
on
you guys hear
brand
us
for you.
clearly? You guys can hear us clearly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all are doing great. Yeah, we can hear it. Yeah, there was so much of the drug wars because it's about wars, and there was so much shit talking, and we know at times it got really intense, like in the Discord and the communications. So that's why I think, especially, people really resonated with having a nice space where you could go something that was counter to all of that. So well done, Cynthia. Congratulations. Let's show what she earned for making it into the finals for the runner-up.
Here it comes.
So I do believe we've got an image here from the prize vault. So you've got a party bear in the camo fatigues. You get a den where hopefully at some point your party bear will be able to go into. And you picked up a seeker with a drug receipt sticker on it. So very nice haul for your troubles in the drug wars. Congratulations, Cynthia.
That's dope.
Thank you. I'm so introverted.
Don't
to be doing this is like it's a good thing for me because he's so extroverted, like compared to how I am. So it was very fun. It was a very fun experience to go out in my my little box and do this.
And you were rewarded handsomely for your effort there. So
And you did amazing.
I think you were the dark horse of the race. I think everybody underestimated you. I think you kind of came out in the last sort of rounds, and it was a little bit of you guys set it up well as a bit of an afterthought, and it came across as something that didn't have the same amount of effort and but clearly it was. Clearly you spent quite a bit of time putting it together. You thought through the propaganda and stuff, and yeah, you came out from out of nowhere and swept the floor. And so congratulations to you. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and
I think that was the
most out of your wallet.
For me, I think that was the most exciting part of the entire competition was coming up with creative ideas because initially when I started doing propaganda, it was just like a picture. It wasn't video. But then I saw everybody was coming with so much picture propaganda, and I know that that Savvy Sean came with some dope video, and I'm like, man, this is time we got to elevate our game with this propaganda. So then I started coming up with creative ideas to do, and some magical propaganda pieces came up from that, especially hers. Hers was awesome with the with the thing in front of the tank. Like that was super fire. I still think I had the best propaganda. I think
you had different approaches. So confirm a theory for me. John, I think yours was led by the idea first, right? You curated the card around the idea. But Cynthia, yours felt like the idea drove the card. So you had, you looked at the tokens you had and then put them together, and then from there you built it out, right? So is that the right approach? You guys had different ways of looking at it?
Yeah, and it was just, I mean, the back of the card, the story of the lore on the back card kind of really says it. Like, with all these things going on in these troubling times, everybody's talking about war. We've had a bunch of dissension and division and chaos and discords. And so, it's called wars. So everybody's going to war, and she wanted to take the opposite route and, preach the love and peace angle. So, and it worked out for her. And I noticed, he's not here right now for me to speak to him directly, but pretty sure, like you said, Arlo, he won't admit to it, but pretty sure Brooke copied her card.
Oh yeah, yeah. It looked well. It's not a bad card to copy, right? I mean, she made it all the way. So if you're gonna copy, you may as well copy the best.
Yeah, Brooke had no real idea what he was doing. So
oh man, gotta love him. Gotta love that guy.
Yeah, he's not on the podcast anymore, and he's not backstage. He's meeting with TikTok right now, so we can shit talk him all we like.
Nicely, before we pay off and talk about the haul that you've picked up here, because it's a nice haul, and that's kind of what we've been building up to here. You mentioned Savvy flips. I actually went up against Savvy in the boss rounds. He drew me, and I was one of the few bosses that actually won, so denied him a prize. But that's been weighing heavily on my conscience. So I'm going to go. The prize that we put up is a hand-drawn drug receipt, which I'm giving you. But I'm going to do one for Savvy too. I'll make sure that I get Savvy's address and send him one out as well. Because Savvy was a really fierce competitor throughout and had some, had a really strong contender. We even mentioned it in his recap, right? If not for his matchup, probably would have gone a lot further. So at least we can do. I'll send him out a hand-drawn receipt. But now let's talk about what?
I was going to say that's super dope because he went super hard with the propaganda, super creative. And his message behind his card was, it was comparable with Cynthia's. So mine was just
Saudi,
battle rap.
yeah.
You know, mine was just some
Fierce
battle rap
competitive
shit.
and a great message.
Yeah.
Do you want to see your prize haul here nicely? You ready?
No, I do.
I need to show
No,
that
I
shit.
do.
Let's
All right, so
go.
let's
Let's
dig into
go.
the Drug Wars prize vault. Here you go.
Ooh, that looks sweet.
All right, so you've got the fluff in full battle fatigue. You've got a suite where you can post up in. You can post your winning drug receipts team in your gallery there in the suite. And you've got the DRX skin RX pattern seeker. So very, very nice haul there. Congratulations, nicely. Is this your first fluff?
It is. It's my first fluff. It is. And you know what? I've had my eye on a DRX seeker since the day that it was announced. So that's actually, I'm super stoked about that as well.
It's that's nice stuff right there. The seeker, the fluff, getting a suite. That's all really pretty rad. Sacrifice my 6 seekers for goblins, right?
Yeah. Not financial advice, but don't tell the suite.
Dude, congratulations.
Thank you.
Anything else we need from these guys who have got them? Is our
Thanks,
audio
bye.
Just a freestyle verse. You got to throw down one verse, man, before you go. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah, you want to drop some bars?
Oh, man. You put me on the spot with that. You should tell me that backstage, man. I would have prepared something.
You always got to expect, right, that you're going to have to perform. This is
drop.
the responsibility of being an artist and a performer. You always got to be ready.
This is the future. Oh, hang on. Do we have a trophy?
Oh yeah, how could I forget? So in addition to everything else, right? All the prizes, you also get the very first Drug Wars Warlord trophy. You've now earned the title of Warlord for the next year. For the rest of your days, you will always be remembered as the very first Warlord. Along with the trophy comes, and I don't know if I'm guessing we've said this before, but we haven't emphasized it lately. One of the perks of being the Warlord is it's basically the same as having a 1 of 1. Every drop that we have, where the 1 of 1s are always included with every trait drop. So now for the next year, you're included in every trait drop. That expires when we launch the next Drug Wars, right? So it's only while you're the reigning Warlord. But for as long as you're the Warlord, that trophy means that you basically have a 1 of 1. There's going to be an NFT of this trophy that we're going to issue to you. But there it is. First look at the Warlord trophy. Congratulations. Nicely. There will never be a first. There will never again be a first.
That is so sick.
Yeah, it's super sick. And so that thing, there we're showing you the static image of it. But once you get the NFT, it's going to be a fully animated, it's rendered in 3D. It's a really, really rad NFT there. So
if you sell the NFT, you forfeit your title, everything, brother. That's it. It's gone. If it's not in your wallet, you're out.
Well, actually, we'll talk about that. I mean, the NFT is the NFT, and the NFT carries the perks, right? So whoever has that NFT gets the 1 of 1 perks for as long as they have it. It's only good for a year. I suppose if you want to trade it or sell it, that's up to you. But the NFT, once the perks expire, then it's basically just a rad NFT, and that thing can live in your wallet forever, just as a trophy, a literal trophy on the wall or a trophy in your wallet. So that's up to you. But yeah, it's a really nice thing to have.
And your name will always be
with me for life. That's staying with me for life. I was gonna say, I'm definitely bringing back M&M's to defend my reigning title next Drug Wars. So hopefully he's allowed. We're allowed. I have to be given that opportunity, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think honestly, we haven't thought through all the mechanics for the next Drug Wars, but certainly the winner will get an automatic bid, right? Probably will be extended to something like the top 4 will have. Even if they want to change their teams, they just get an automatic space in the tournament. So yeah, none of that is confirmed. Don't hold me to it, but yes, something like that will be worked into the next round for sure. And certainly the winner, you can quote me on that. The winner will have an entry in the next tournament.
Well, that sounds like I got a year then to come up with my next Drug Wars anthem.
It might not be a year, so don't rest on your laurels. It might
Yeah,
not
right.
be a year before the next one.
That's right.
But no matter what, win or lose next time around, your name will always be at the top of that trophy. So as we go through this thing, we're going to add the next name and then the next name and then the next name. So you're always going to be at the top, brother.
Number one.
Congratulations, Nicely. Congratulations to the Nicely household. Cynthia, John, thank you guys for so much for being a part of Drug Wars and for coming in and celebrating the victory with us. Couldn't have scripted a cooler ending to this than to have you guys sweep the finals. So thank y'all for being such great competitors, such great community members. We'll see y'all in the Discord and everywhere else. Congratulations, you guys. And Nicely, it couldn't have happened, honestly, to a better community member. I think everybody was rooting for you to finally get your win. And what a great way to do it here in the Drug Wars. So congratulations, dude. Love you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And I wanted to say thanks to everybody who participated, everybody who voted, everybody who actually went out there and put in the work and created some propaganda, and everybody who made Drug Wars what it was, because it's been fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bags are stacked now,
Thank you,
brother.
Nicely.
Bags are stacked.
Enjoy your new role on Discord.
And that's not the only. There'll be other roles that we're giving out in Discord for our competitors. So keep an eye out for those.
Mhm.
And now that is that's the marquee event. The finals are done, but we do have one extracurricular event that's for fun, but that we think will be pretty competitive and pretty exciting. You could see already, the amount of investment that Brooke has in it. He's looking for some redemption from his boss battle. But now we have Battle of the Bosses, right? Trevor, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so this is big. This is community against community. There's no holds barred. So there's only prize on offer here is the ultimate bragging rights. Well, we may have a few little twists and turns up our sleeve that we'll reveal towards the end of all of this. But for the most part, this is just about bragging rights for the communities, right? So this is anything goes. Bring everybody in, vote hard as you can, because the votes in the arena will be the votes that count. So first round, we've got 69 Mafia taking on Project Mayhem. We've got Greenpeace taking on Walker Blue Label. We have Fear the Nightcaps taking on Board Receipts, and Menace to Sobriety taking on Roadrunner Racing. And all of those battles are live in the arena right now. So get to it, family. We only have, 16 hours? 16 hours and 10 minutes remaining in those fights. So get in there and vote, people.
Dude, it's so hectic. I mean, everything's been so frenetic getting ready for this, this podcast, getting the stuff, getting the trophy together. I mean, all the things that we've been doing. And I want to get out at least a new piece of propaganda for the first round of the Battle of the Bosses. So maybe after we get this wrapped up, I'll try and get something out there, certainly in the next 16 hours. But yeah, Battle of the Bosses, kind of exciting.
Indeed it is.
Trevor, are you texting Jesse?
No, I'm actually sending messages to some of the bosses that may or may not know that they're battling.
Oh, awesome.
No, this has been incredible.
It's been a wild ride, hasn't it? It's had moments of sheer excitement, moments of sheer frustration. There's been some beautifully creative strokes of genius, and there's been some, let's call a spade and call them pitiful attempts at creativity coming from people such as myself. But we have seen some amazing stuff over the Drug Wars competition. I'm joking. I'm only joking.
We actually, since you mentioned that, we did have kind of a side competition because we had Drug Receipts team members in the Drug Wars tournament proper. We saw Serengeti out of here, made it all the way into the quarterfinals, was a really stout competitor. Despite your self-effacing humor, Trevor, you and Jesse both had really good entries, and it showed that you guys, y'all intimately understand the community, you understand the collection, and y'all were able to put together cards that represented that, or that reflected that, right? They're really smart, really funny, really cool, and right on brand. But we had a side battle for our team because you guys, none of us on the team were eligible to win the main prizes. But we put up a fluff and a party bear for our team members, and Serengeti out of here did take down the top prize from the Drug Receipts community. So Acro who was a formidable competitor, someone that everyone was afraid of before the tournament even started, just
we
because
had
of
to
his
fight
creativity.
Acro too, right?
What's
so
that?
we had our own little secret battle happening with Acro and Don, right? Where Jesse and I had to take on those
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's how it played out. So Acro took the top prize. He picks up a fluff, and Don took the runner-up for our drug receipts team, and he got a party bear for their trouble. So congratulations to the team members. What?
I said, and me and Jesse, we just got drunk.
We were celebrating.
We just celebrated.
Those are the real spoils of war.
Yeah, that's the spoils. Spoils of defeat.
You and Jesse are dancing alone to Old Greg, spinning the tunes. Yeah,
100%. How's the drinking game going for these people backstage? I don't think they're getting enough shots being called here.
Should I read the drinking game stipulations out loud?
Yeah, let everybody in on it.
Let everybody in on the drinking game.
So according to Metaverse D, she says, oh, gotta find it. The DRX live drinking game. Every time there's a negative comment in the YouTube chat, post an Eeyore image/GIF and take a shot. Every time there's a visible nipple, take a drink. Every time Jessie closes her eyes and vibes, tag someone else to drink. And every time Brooke shows a foot, take a shot.
There it is. For your intoxicating pleasure. The rules of the Drug Receipts podcast. So these are official rules. Every single time we do a podcast, this is a happening thing. And we're not encouraging irresponsible use of alcohol, but we are encouraging irresponsible use of alcohol.
And I do want to...
Fun.
I neglected to pay off. I said that Serengeti Out of Here won the Drug Receipts internal team competition, and Dawn picked up the runner-up prize. But Dawn's team should be nice, Trevor. Dawn's team should be acknowledged because it was No Cap, which was an epic entry and submission into the Drug Wars tournament, and provided one of the most legendary bits of lore with the No Cap We at War song drop soundtrack that he dropped. So congratulations to Acro and Dawn for being such stellar and stellar ambassadors of the brand and such titans of the community. They really rose to the challenge there.
100%. So Jesse, all we got left is the boss battles, right? That's it. And then Drug Wars is over.
And then Drug Wars is on hiatus until the next go round. But the battle builder or the what's it called? The battle card builder will always stay live. So anytime throughout the year, you can always be putting sets together. You can be saving them to your gallery. We will probably be introducing more frames. Will be one of the game mechanics that we'll see some evolution. But although the Drug Wars tournament is coming to a close or has come to a close, and then after the Battle of the Bosses, it will be over. The Drug Wars, the preparation for war, never ends. So you can always be curating with purpose, always be putting sets together with the battle card builder, and you can always be saving those battle cards to your gallery, and just waiting, until it's time to enlist your teams into battle. So yeah, never stop collecting, never stop curating.
100%, people. And as you saw, it can be very lucrative to win.
And if you're watching the floor, like the best team builders do, you never know when something pops up that is just the perfect piece for a collection. And so, right. So those of us that are always watching, seeing what comes up on offer, instead of having to scramble at the last minute and maybe overpay for something, if you can just be curating along the way, it really helps to do it kind of economically and a little more with a little less anxiety.
There is one thing that isn't in run of show, so I'm going off book here. Off script, right? Because off book means I know my lines, and there's fucking no way I do that. We are going to do a feedback round. We're going to do a little bit of a debrief and a kind of a rehash of Drug Wars to try and make it better. So every time we run this campaign, we want it to be better than the last time and offer more exciting things for people to keep them engaged. So please start writing down or making notes around your feedback for improving Drug Wars, because we will be after everything. And Jesse's going to open it up in the Discord at some point to give you an opportunity to feedback all of your wonderful ideas, good and bad, negative and positive. Let's share it all so that we can go away and learn from the first campaign and make it better and better and better as we go forward. So yes, write down your ideas, keep them handy, and get them to Jessie when she opens that up in Discord. And yeah, we'll read them, I guess, and maybe talk about them.
Awesome.
Maybe.
Yeah,
You got it.
perfect. Yeah, we learned a lot here in the first round, and absolutely, there will be, there's lots of room for evolution for the next round. So we look forward to everyone's input. I think that concludes our recap. Jesse, I know that there's some other more general community news. You want to get us into that?
Yeah, just real quick. If you guys, as you know, we are a really small team, but we have been pretty actively trying to build our presence on Twitter Spaces, and we can use all the help we can get. So if you feel like you have something you want to say, you want to lead a space, feel free to DM me or any of the meds, and let us know what time slot you'd like, and we can start building out some programming around some ideas you have. But other than that, we are going to, our community spaces will keep going, and the after hours unofficial naughty spaces with me will keep going as whenever. There's not really a time for them. It's usually really late night in the US and early morning over on the European side, and mid-afternoon for your Auckland. So that'll continue as normal. But yeah, we have a lot of stars in our community. We have a lot of people that I feel like are leaders and have incredible personalities and are just amazing. So whatever we can do to help foster that, to grow that, to encourage that, to include it in our Discord programming, then do let us know. So, but other than that, Snugglers, this has been incredible. It's been an incredible month, really.
No doubt. Jesse, thank you for that. And thank all of you for your support, your participation in Drug Wars, and for voting. Remember, anyone who voted on the Drug Wars, you are eligible to win a fluff. We've given away a couple of fluffs already tonight. One to our drug receipts, the winner of the drug receipts side competition, also to the main winner here, John Nicely. But we are also giving away a fluff to anyone who votes in the competition. It's just a lottery. We are putting together a lottery, right? All you have to do is vote in the Drug Wars, and you are still eligible if you vote in the Battle of the Bosses. So keep getting in those votes for the Battle of the Bosses. And at the end of it all, we will give away one more fluff to some lucky winner just for participating.
Wouldn't it be amazing if somebody voted? Wouldn't it be amazing if somebody just voted once and won the fluff?
It's possible.
It's possible. But wouldn't that be amazing, right? There's been some, I've voted in every single battle, right? Obviously, we all have. So, I think my chances are good of winning the fluff, but maybe not. Maybe it's just some random, person from an outside community that comes on in, casts one vote, and boom, taking home a fluff. It's a huge prize. Huge prize just for voting.
Well,
Amazing.
We will be revealing the winner of the fluff on the next SQE podcast, which is taking place next week. So, with special guests. Yeah. It'll be our episode 3 days before our really cool event that I can't wait to tell you about later in the show. But we will be joined by the old Greg, not Greg, old Greg. There's a distinction between the two.
Mm-hmm. We hope, for the most part, at least.
One of them you don't want showing up to your parties, and the other you do. You absolutely do. So we'll have the one that you want at your party. And just a note or a suggestion for those of you participating in the drinking game, or actually this is a petition to the rule writers for the drinking game. But thank you, Trevor. But since Brooke is gone, I suggest that you replace Brooke's foot with Jesse's knee. You'll probably get a little more mileage out of it.
There it is. Oh, back-to-back 3. Is that 3?
I'll give you knee.
Do like that bicycle riding thing that you do at the gym, and your knee will just be coming on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off.
Awesome. Jesse, thank you for that. So we're actually going to say goodbye to Jesse for now, but we are going to replace her. Not that she's replaceable, but we're going to bring on Dia as we get into the ghost stories and some skeptical content and some Halloween alpha. So a lot of exciting stuff. And Jesse's going to come back a little bit later in the podcast. So you'll have a chance at seeing her knees and participating in the drinking game a little later on. But for right now, let's get into our controlled substance, a spooky edition of our controlled substance. And yeah, if we were a little more on it, we would have had some scary music there. But Dia, coming to us on location. Where are you?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Dia.
Hi. Can you hear me okay? There's kind of a lot of traffic here. It's sort of weird.
We don't hear the traffic. We can hear you fine. Where are you?
But, when I knew that you were doing, we were going to do ghosts and it's Halloween and everything. So I trotted myself over to the most haunted house in the world. It's close. That's the Winchester Mystery House here in San Jose, California. Built by the heiress, Mary, I think her name is Mary Winchester. I'm not sure of her first name. Supposedly haunted by all the souls of the dead people from, were killed by Winchester rifles, which is a lot, which is why I guess. Let me tell you, I am absolutely 100% convinced that ghosts exist. So, maybe you and I can chat about this.
That's a controversial
I've had
I wonder if
these experiences. Understand that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, but I thought we could talk about it here. What do you think?
Well, you're absolutely right, Dia. I am skeptical of those claims. I'm skeptical that the house is haunted at all. I definitely think that there's some interesting info to get into about the legend and the lore of the Winchester Mystery House. And yeah, if you have any claims that you want to explore, we are here for it. That's what it's why we're here. It's why skepticism exists, and we're happy to apply our critical thinking skill set on the Winchester Mystery House.
So, Dia, is that
Actually,
in
I
the
couldn't.
background behind you?
No.
Is that the?
Oh, okay. So, no.
Good luck, Trevor.
Unfortunately, the Winchester Mystery House it's on the other side of the street behind me. So they closed up and they closed the parking lot, and it's dark, and there's no Wi-Fi. So I'm now.
Well, Dia, we've got your back.
There's any. Good.
We've got your back. Joellen, can we show the Winchester Mystery House? I think that we have an image of it, actually. There you go. So it's this. Yeah, and look at how far back it goes and to the sides. I mean, it is this sprawling estate. I mean, it's really gorgeous. But this is sort of the inspiration or the genesis of the lore behind it is that the widow of the Winchester magnate, William Winchester, right? He made his fortune selling the Winchester rifles, Winchester guns. Dia, right, alluded to the lore or the history surrounding the home or the legend surrounding the home. They say that the home is haunted by all the souls of all the people that lost their lives to guns, right? And part of the lore is that Sarah Winchester, the widow, who went by Sally, we'll refer to her as Sally Winchester, that she actually moved into the house and started building it after her husband was deceased. And so that she consulted with a medium before moving to the house. And the medium told her, you've got to keep building rooms in the house. You've got to keep building the house to make space for all the souls, that were lost to basically your husband's enterprise. And don't ever stop building, essentially, because if you ever stop building, then you're going to die. And so that's why this house allegedly stayed under construction for many, many years. There are staircases that go to nowhere, windows that open to nothing, windows that open into other walls. I mean, it's sort of like building just for building's sake. And by all appearances, it looks kind of like, the result of some kind of psychosis or it's some kind of insanity. And so all kinds of legends and lores have cropped up around it. In particular, sort of speculating on the state of Sally Winchester's mind. What's going on in her mind. And it's become a major tourist attraction, as Dia said, right? The most haunted house in the nation, if not the world, certainly famous for being that. There are tour guides, there's all kinds of tour propaganda and literature that's been published about the house, and it talks about the lore, it talks about these things. I have some of the lore about the house. Do you want to talk about it? Are you familiar with it, Dia? I know you're right there. Do you know some of these myths that have been perpetrated about the house and its construction?
Did Sally have a
I know there
Disney
was. Did she have a
Disney fetish? Like the house looks like something out of a Disney movie.
Like
right? Like, let's build Aladdin's palace in the middle of San Jose. All right, sorry, I'm getting us up. Which I'm probably going to do, and might not be the last time, dear, and I apologize in advance.
She did actually live in it. That was her personal residence. Just if anyone's wondering.
Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, she did. She did. Yeah, and I. Well, no. Why don't you go ahead and? I'm not sure what exactly you've got. I know she was supposedly, so she had like 13 chandeliers, in the dining room. And
Exactly.
Things like that.
Exactly. So there is an alleged obsession with the number 13, right? Which ties it into kind of like spooky lore. So as you said, the chandeliers in the house all hold 13 candles. There are 13 bathrooms in the house. There are 13 windows, 13 ceiling panels, right? 13 coat hooks in the home. So all these recurring instances of 13, which look like evidence for some kind of like spooky, or deranged motivation. Another one of the alleged phenomenon or curiosities of the house is that there is a blue room in the center of it. And it's alleged that this blue room was like a seance room where they would hold nightly seances hosted by Sally Winchester.
Sounds like that'd be a pretty packed party, right? Like having a seance in
right with all the ghosts in the house,
like a nightclub.
Right. It's a perfect place for it if you want to host them. And then of course there is the right. You can never be lonely in that house. You've always got company.
Get old Greg spinning some discs at the Winchester house for a seance. That'd be a crazy Halloween party.
I mean, if it's open to parties, it would be a great place to host a party. No doubt about it. Especially an overnight party.
I think you can rent it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you can.
Be interested in that.
I don't know about
next year's Halloween party, Jesse. I know you can hear me. Next year's Halloween party is in that house.
Please make that happen. That would be so epic.
That would be huge. That would be huge,
that would be
right?
Awesome.
Let's do that.
So then, guys, of course, the greatest inspiration for all of the lore and all of the spooky stories cropping up around the Winchester house is the house itself. As we mentioned, sort of the the maze-like structures, the endless construction, the small stairs, the stairs that seem to go to nowhere, doors that open to nothing. And so all of that looks like it's, when you hear the backstory, well, she was told by a medium that she had to just keep building. She was trying to, make it difficult for the ghost or the spirits to find her, right? That she had to keep them confused. I mean, all these things kind of sound plausible when you see the actual construction of the house. But being the good skeptics that we are, we're going to look a little further. We're going to look past the alleged stories, and we're going to see if there's a real truth of the matter that can be discovered here. And as you might expect, there are alternative explanations that fit the evidence a little better. So first of all, the number 13, all of the things that you can point to, I think save for one, there might be one instance, which I think is probably fairly trivial, like, tiles in a bathroom or something, or maybe it's the ceiling tiles, occur 13 times. But all the others, the chandeliers, the coat hooks, the windows, all the different things that occur in 13s were all done after Sally's death. Construction on the house continued after she passed away, mostly because it almost immediately became a tourist attraction. And so the people that took over the property and that were going to open it as a tourist attraction, they kept building on it. And so a lot of the additions and amendments, especially these things that are have this 13 motif, were not done in Sally's time. They were not done according to her direction. So that kind of pokes a hole in that theory of her being obsessed with the number 13. Similarly, the Blue Room at the center of the house, which allegedly were held for seances, there is no evidence that Sally had any interest in the occult or ever hosted or conducted seances in the house. And furthermore, the Blue Room at the center of the house is known to have been the office of her personal longtime gardener. So far from being a room to host seances, it actually was just a home office for her gardener. And there's even more to this idea of Sally not being someone who is particularly interested in the occult. The entire origin story of Sally having visited a medium before she moved to San Jose from her original hometown where she lived with her husband, which I think was in Boston, Massachusetts. But there was a story written, I think probably maybe 1967, many decades after Sally passed away. But so this book that was written alleged that Sally had met with the medium, and the medium was the one who told her about, she must keep building. Well, so people, historians and investigators since then have searched for any evidence of this alleged encounter between Sally and a medium in Boston. They've gone through the records of all the published mediums and occultists in Boston around that time. There's no record of the medium that was named. His name was Adam Coons, if you want to investigate it yourself. But in the story that was spun about this alleged encounter, the actual medium was named. And so there's no record of an Adam Coons in Boston around that time. There's no evidence of Adam Coons having been a medium. And there's no evidence of, Sally Winchester having an encounter with Adam Coons. And in fact, there was no mention of this encounter anywhere in the entire history or lore of the Winchester house until this book was written in 1967. And Sally Winchester died in 1922. So it's like over 40 years that went by with no mention of this alleged origin of this myth. So pretty easy to discount that as just, the pure fictional, fantastical creation of a writer in 1967. But now the real twist ending to all of this, because even then you might say, okay, well, Sally was, the victim of psychosis in her, and this is another anecdote or legend that is spun to account for this strange mystery of the Winchester house. But well, Sally was so riddled with guilt over her husband's business, selling these guns that are responsible for, so many lost lives, that she just kept building this, she kept building onto this house, kept building these rooms as a way to try and kind of like appease her own guilt. And so that is not true at all. First of all, whatever we may think about guns now, or whatever opinions you have about guns right now, the fact is back then, the prevailing feeling and sentiment towards guns was that they were for survival and that they were for protection, and that they were seen as worthwhile and essential. And, there wasn't the same misgivings that a lot of modern people might have about guns now, although not everyone shares those feelings. So she was not riddled from guilt. And so here is the real twist ending about Sally Winchester and her house. And this was pointed out to me. It was funny, Dia, when you let me know that you were going to be at the Winchester house and that it could be a part of this broadcast. But I had recently had a conversation with another one of the skeptics in our community, Stephen. Dia's been possessed.
It's spooky. She's suddenly hanging like a bat from the ceiling. What
Sally
happened?
Winchester has possessed her, has
Oh my
possessed the
God.
broadcast. Come
I
back.
didn't realize your life was going to be in danger by sending you into an on-site broadcast here.
This is terrifying. But so one of our other skeptics, Stephen Powers, he mentioned a podcast that he listened to recently, a great podcast series called Skeptoid by Brian Dunning. I recommend it. They're very short form podcasts. Each one's probably around 10 to 15 minutes, and they cover hundreds of topics. There's, over 800 episodes by now, and they cover everything. So you can always, do a search on Skeptoid for any extraordinary claim that you have any interest in, or that you're curious what the skeptical take on it is. But so there was one recently posted about the Winchester House, and it was kind of an update on the Winchester House. So this alternative explanation that even if it wasn't ghost, or even if Sally wasn't building on the house obsessively because of some medium told her to do it, she probably still was doing it just because of this guilt over her husband having sold so many guns. Well, that also was not true. And sometime in the 1950s, a master historian from San Jose State University, the state university where the house is located in San Jose, by the name of Bruce Spoon, actually made his thesis the Winchester House. And when he looked into it, what he found is, Sally Winchester, for all the things that she's known for now, in her time and before her death, she was the nation's greatest female philanthropist. Because her husband passed away and because she took over the estate, she was wildly wealthy. And she gave away a lot of that money to philanthropical causes. And one of the things that she did, another object of her philanthropy, was that she employed hundreds of people at the Winchester House, which she called the Yanata Villa. So she employed hundreds of people to help her build and maintain the Yanata Villa, the Winchester House. And this was at a time when there was wide unemployment in the Bay Area, double digits unemployment. The people that she employed were largely immigrants. And back then, immigrants, where in the Bay Area, these were largely Dutch, Chinese, Japanese, Italians, Irish. The Asians back then probably were the most maligned or marginalized minority in the area. There wasn't a significant Black population. There weren't a lot of Hispanics or Native Americans in the area at the time. But she paid her workers well. She gave them housing. She paid them very nice wages. She even gave them paid time off if it ever got too hot to work. She took care of her workers, and there were hundreds of them. And so that, more than anything, was the reason that she kept building. Even if the building, even if the staircase didn't go anywhere, that was less important to her than constantly finding work or providing continuous work for these hundreds of people that she was housing and providing a living wage to, and that she felt responsible for. So the sad reality here, the sad irony, is that this woman who devoted her life to doing so much good, and whose real legacy should be such a triumph of philanthropy and the human will and generosity, instead has been subverted and co-opted by these absurd, spooky, pseudoscientific narratives about ghosts and goblins, and so it has stolen Sally Winchester's legacy. So if we do nothing else here in this podcast, maybe in some small way, we can help to restore and honor the proper legacy of Sally Winchester as a philanthropist. And also maybe, hopefully it can be a cautionary tale to not give too much credence to wildly spun stories, but instead always take the care, put in the extra effort to look a little deeper and find the true story, because sometimes the true story is more deserving of our attention than the fantastical one.
And
so thanks for bringing that to our attention. Thanks for broadcasting and doing whatever insane camera things it is that you're doing from out there in front of the Winchester house.
My favorite bit so far in this podcast is how you seamlessly carried through, knowing that Dia was on screen in a weird landscapey, portrait-y kind of thing that's going on there, where she's sideways for everything and looks very stretched like a ghost.
Dia's broadcast is definitely haunted, or
Dia's
there are gremlins in the camera for sure.
That I think it's outside that house. I wonder if you go from 5G to like 13G as you walk past the Winchester house because of the obsession with 13.
So I retract everything I said. It is definitely haunted. Dia's broadcast is proof of that. I retract everything.
There is some very, very extreme evidence happening live on the Drug Receipts Stop Questioning Everything podcast. Did you know that this could break? We could be about to break a mainstream news, CNN, Fox Media, want to get a hold of what is causing the spookiness that's going on in our podcast right now. Every time we cross live to our on-the-site reporter, she's upside down or sideways or all over the shop. It's clear she's been possessed and been overtaken by the spirits that reside inside the house. It's clear evidence.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get Dia back on because we have the results from our Skeptics and Sinners competition. Later this week is the annual Skeptic Conference, which will be held in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Flamingo Hotel. Some of us from the Drug Receipts community are going out there. Dia will be there. I'm going. Steven, who I mentioned, another skeptic drug smuggler is going. My daughter is going out there. And her boyfriend. That? Yeah. And my daughter Lulu, her skeptic professor who teaches a course in skepticism is also going to be attending it. So we'll have a nice little posse out there. Trevor, are you possessed?
Are we announcing this right now? Like, is this competition still running, or do we have a winner?
No. So the competition is over. But listen, I've got to manage expectations here. We are not sending anyone to Vegas. That was the grand prize, along with 3 Drug Receipts NFTs, one representing each of our skeptical traits: the Ecree candle, Occam's razor, and the Flim Flam glasses. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. It turns out that the person who won declined to be sent to Vegas. Not surprisingly, because now the timing has gotten so compressed, it's really hard to arrange travel, but especially if you are traveling from overseas, which was the case here. But I'd love to get into the competition. Let's show you. We got some really interesting submissions, and if Dia comes back online, we'll bring her on. But in the meantime, we'll jump in and we will show some of these.
Cool. So which is coming up first?
Well, so the first one, we're not going to bring the first one up because it was a written submission, a really nice essay. And it's actually from a friend or a colleague of Dia, someone that she brought the competition, brought it to their attention. And they submitted a really cool kind of X-Files type essay, about these investigators looking into a seeming possession at a Catholic church, with priests rising into the rafters, amid a glowing light, and all, anyway, the story is interesting. We'll find a way to post it so people can read it, and it kind of has a skeptical outcome as the skeptical investigators look into it and uncover the truth, almost like an episode of Scooby-Doo. And that was submitted by JD Jacobson, a colleague, a friend of Dia's. So thanks for that submission.
I wonder if JD will allow us to put it in the Discord. We can publish the article.
Yeah, I would think so. It's a fun read. I enjoyed it. The next submission, which I do think that we can show because it is a comic, but it was a 4-panel comic from a user named Agent Blocktones. And these submissions are taken from Twitter. So I think I'll be referring to their Twitter handles. And I'll just read you through this real quick. And maybe if someone gets it, y'all can explain it to me because I didn't even really get it. That's how dense I am. But the first panel says, it has these 2 professors. It says, yes, everything is fine. Don't worry. And the other professor says, "Are you sure there's nothing to worry about?" And the first guy says, "It's chemistry, that's for sure." And the other guy says, "Okay." And they've got this chemical compound or structure written on the chalkboard behind them. In the next panel, they say, "They don't look too bad." And then a drug receipt character, Cap, pops out of a vat and says, "Wait for me." And the other professor says, "Is that still normal?" And now you can see another drug receipt, Siren walking out of the panel. And now you've got Cap, the murdered out caps on bombs dropping from the sky as one of the professors says, "Don't worry, it will stop. They won't work anymore." And then the final panel, one of the professors says, "I still don't have to worry," as the Rex drug receipts character holding Occam's razor runs out of the panel saying, "Give us the formula," or as the speech trails off. So an insane 4-panel comic, which again, I have no idea what it means. And I'm sure that that is on me. But if you want to pop into the Discord and offer any insight, if you can shed any light on that, I would love to hear it because it is lost on me. It's fun and cool and wild, but I don't know what it said. Trevor, do you know?
Awesome. No, I enjoyed it. Maybe I'm not on enough of a heavy dose of psychedelics to truly understand it. But maybe once the doors have been cleansed properly, I'll see that comic for what it truly is. But no, it's pretty outrageous. Agent Blocktones, if you're around, please jump in the Discord and let us know what the fuck that is all about.
All right, so our next submission.
Thank you for your entry. It's kept us all guessing, and we've had lots of enjoyable conversation about that crazy and bizarre entry. So yeah, please keep them coming.
I can't wait to see what people come up with or how it's deciphered. In fact, I'm sure that will be half the fun.
Part of it, yeah. Exactly.
Our next submission is from a cherished community member, Nebuchadnezzar, and who expressed some concern because in the initial timeline, Nebu didn't have time to get an entry in, but we extended the time for entries. And so really happy to see it. Nebu got something in. And we're going to give you some highlights from this, but to see the full post, I encourage you to check out the Twitter thread. You can go search for hashtag DRX skepticism, and you can find all the entries, or you can go to the Drug Receipts Twitter account and you can look for our skepticism post and you'll see all the replies. But so this was a really cool entry from Nebu. And you can see this image, this funny image that they put together. It's got all the Drug Receipts traits in there, the Ecree candle, the Occam's razor, flim flam glasses. And that's my face photoshopped on what I'm guessing is Jesus, right? Here's
the thing. We don't know. This is an extreme claim, and I think we need some extreme evidence otherwise. Do you have
I can assure you that I'm not the Messiah.
Do you have a scar below your right nipple?
Yeah.
Where they made women from your extra rib.
From my ribs, yeah.
Did I get that right? Is that what that cuts for? I'm really not very good at this. I'm commenting.
It's been a while since you brushed up on your biblical history. Acro in the comments is saying WWAD. What would Arlo do? I advise you not to consider what I would do in most circumstances. That's probably not going to lead you in the right direction. But a really cool, funny photo composition there from Nebu. But Joan, let's bring it up a little bit more, or let's bring that image up one more time, because I'm going to talk to you through some of the things that Nebu added. So in addition to the image, most of the submission was a really cool long entry, well thought out. But so Nebu describes what each of these skeptical traits mean. And he sets it up by saying, see the way, cut to the truth, follow the light, right? Already teasing what each one of those traits refers to. See the way with flim flam glasses, cut back to the truth with Occam's razor, follow the light given off by the Ecree candle. And then Nebu expands on that, sets it up by saying Drug Receipts offers tools of combat buried within its collection, representative of methods that support healthy skepticism. 3 traits represented in the imagery prompt us to think carefully, clearly, and skeptically. And then he describes each of them. Number 1, Occam's razor. Our razor, Occam's razor, reminds us that there are layers to everything. Not everything is always as it seems on the surface. And then for number 2, the Ecree candle. When found in the dark, we can find our path via the light of our Ecree candle. This candle helps us illuminate characters making sensationalistic claims by demanding answers at a minimum. And then number 3, the Flim Flam glasses. Finally, we are gifted with Flim Flam glasses. These glasses help us identify BS and assist us in viewing concepts much more clearly. So really cool entry from Nebuchadnezzar. And as I said, there's actually even more to it, which will get reposted in the Discord if it's not in there yet, but you can find presently in the Twitter thread. So very cool. Thank you, Nebu, for that. I
really think Nebu is going to emerge as one of the most engaged sort of skeptic community members, right? He seems to be really interested in it, and I've had a couple of conversations with him that dance around the subject matter. So I wonder if we can get a skepticism Twitter Spaces or something happen and get some of the members of the drug receipts community that are really into it to come up and ask their questions and propose their topics. Or if not feeling confident enough or happy enough to get up on a Twitter Space, there is the channel in our Discord for those of you who haven't discovered it yet, where I see there's a whole lot of conversation around some topics that look like ripe for skeptical analysis.
Well, you're exactly right, Trevor. And it's come up in we have a weekly skeptical meeting with Dia and my daughter. But absolutely, there is, I think, a need for a regularly occurring skeptical Twitter space, because so many of the conversations really need kind of that long form exploration. It's hard to always have to stop down and put it into writing in the skeptic channel on our Discord. So if you had a more open forum where people could discuss their ideas, yeah. And the fact that Jesse has kind of put out an open call for people looking to host community and project related Twitter spaces, I think now is the right time to really organize a proper dedicated skeptical Twitter spaces for drug receipts.
Yes,
yeah, and
absolutely.
There's no shortage of topics. You're right about that.
All right. So speaking of skeptical analysis, what's this other entry that I saw, the Flim Flam Man, all about?
Well, so one other note about, what you were just talking about, the fact that, Nebu has shown a real interest in skepticism, right? All of the entrants here have expressed an interest in skepticism, but not all the entrants, and not surprisingly, understand exactly what skepticism is. All the more reason, right? It's why we have these kinds of activations. It's why we need to have the Twitter spaces. It's why we have the channel in our Discord. It's not just so that skeptics can talk about skepticism. The reason all this exists is so we can bring people to skepticism, expose people to the tools of skepticism, walk them through critical thinking, teach people, let them learn about critical or logical fallacies and cognitive biases. All the the foundational elements that you need to be able to examine claims critically, especially extraordinary claims. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we talk about one of the other entries. But first, we will look at the Flim Flam Man. So this is the winning entry. I'm going to go ahead and give a spoiler here, but this is the winning entry. So in Drug Wars, we saw some really cool propaganda, right? 2 great soundtracks from No Cap and from M&M's. So we got a cool soundtrack here in the Skeptics and Sinners competition.
No way.
And this is taken from the position of a scammer, right? Of the confidence man, of the snake oil salesman. This is a song sung by the person basically who is running the scams. And a note about this, like this is a kind of like an exercise in what's possible with Web3. But so the beat for this was taken from a drop from Gino the Ghost and another collaborator named Michael Morrow. But they dropped a series of tracks on the blockchain that people were able to purchase the NFTs of, and then you get the licensing rights, so you get to use them. And so Gummy the Incendiary, who is the mastermind behind this next track we're about to drop, got one of the NFTs, and that was the backing track for this song.
Are they the same person that put the name sounds familiar? I might be off track, but the Gods and Goblins theme song, was Gummy the Incendiary the one that put that forward?
I don't know. That's a great question. Yeah, let's look into
Hit me
that.
up in the comments below.
Yeah, and while we wait to hear the verdict on that, Joel, let's go ahead and play the Flim Flam Man.
Flim Flam Man.
Welcome to the future. Don't be scared. Do your own research. Get prepared. Skepticism, don't believe them, ask your fan. Cause I'm the FLIM, Flim Flam Man. You can't look into my eyes. I reflect, I deflect, I disguise the lies. Nonsense, foolish, swindling, cheap. Offers of an airdrop beat. FOMO, inspiring, free mint contract signing. Hot wallet fear declining. Don't be caught crying and whining. It's a confidence game. Who's to blame? Got no shame. What's my name? Skillful persuader. Clever manipulator. I'm the Flim Flam Man, Flim Flam, wham bam. Save him if you can. What's your plan? Where's your ass is gone? Damn. It was a scam. Don't believe the Flim Flam. Damn.
There
Amazing.
it is.
So
In
good.
all of the story. That's so cool, huh? So many talented people in our community, right? It's lovely to see them pop open every now and again and say, "Here, drop this." And yeah, our repertoire. We're gonna have to have a Spotify playlist soon, right? Maybe somebody on that.
We're amassing a really rad catalog of Drug Receipts tracks, no doubt about it. So that was Gummy the Incendiary on vocals and wrote the really awesome lyrics, which we will post the lyrics. We'll get those into the Discord. You can also find the lyrics. Gummy the Incendiary posted those on his Instagram post as well. And I mean, actually, the phrasing was pretty clear in the song. So I think most of us got to enjoy it. But if you want to recap the lyrics, you can look those up on Twitter and we'll get them posted in Discord. And as mentioned, the track was by Gino the Ghost, another prominent figure in the Futureverse ecosystem. So cool Web3 collaboration going on there. That track is from the Blocktones at Blocktones. And as mentioned, so Flim Flam Man won the Skeptics and Sinners competition. When I reached out to Gummy the Incendiary to let him know he won and to talk about arranging travel, not only is he overseas, so it would have been a little more difficult logistically, but we still could have made it work out. But he informed me that they have a 20-week sonogram scheduled. So they have a very good excuse for not traveling right now. So congratulations, to Gummy the Incendiary.
Congratulations on many levels. And thank you for nominating me in your place to go to Vegas.
Yes.
And I'll be sure to send you plenty of pictures as I rock my way through Vegas and the Skeptics and Sinners conference. So thank you, Gummy the Incendiary. I appreciate it.
So despite that, Gummy's going to get the 3 Drug Receipts NFTs. And to everybody that entered, we're going to give a subscription to the Center for Skeptical Inquiry, CSI. They have a regular magazine that they put out. We'll get everybody a year subscription to that. And I think something else that I'd probably like to do is, and maybe we'll sort of hammer it out and get it up in the Skeptic channel. But honestly, anybody that wants a subscription to this magazine that's a drug smuggler that's in our community, we'll get them a subscription to it. I mean, my mission more than anyone else is to expose people to critical thinking and to skepticism. So if there's anyone that has interest in it, I am happy to help feed that interest. So
I'll take one.
Yeah, you done. We'll get you on the list. We'll just have to create kind of the infrastructure so we can capture addresses and stuff. But we should be able to do it probably digitally. I guess as I said, we'll sort out the details. If people want the print issue or if they want the digital issue, we'll sort that all out. But so there is one other submission here that I'd like to talk about.
So sorry, Arlo,
yeah.
put your name in the Discord channel for skepticism if you're interested in taking up Arlo on that offer, and you only heard about it on the podcast. So only you watching now get that. So yeah, go in the Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had another great, super well thought out entry from Timbu on Twitter. And again, this one, because of the format of Twitter, right? These things are all posted in Twitter threads. So you can get in there and you can see the entire threads. But I'm actually going to read you this entire thread because I think that it's an interesting post, and it leads into some conversations that we want to have, and also plays on some of the conversations that we've already started here with Trevor as we talk about skepticism and as we talk about the opportunity before us to expose people and to train people up who have expressed an interest in skepticism, but for whom there might still be a gap between what they're looking for and what they've been exposed to already. So this submission from Timbu goes like this. When I look at the world with my eyes, I start to brood. Do I see correctly, or am I being fooled into an illusion? I'm insecure and hide behind a general opinion. Don't attract attention, don't offend, don't question anything. But is that correct? Wouldn't it be better to question the given and predetermined things, to form your own opinion? So much has happened in the years since I've been in this world. Why is naturopathy being pushed back more and more? The pharmaceutical industry has risen to become one of the most powerful players in the world. From the destruction of the natural human immune system, destroyed by the increasingly processed foods in which there is hardly anything natural left, weakened by the ever-increasing destruction and exploitation of our nature, commerce reigns supreme more and more, to the point where man realizes that money cannot be eaten. Suddenly, a virus is around the corner and the whole world is in a panic. As if conjured out of a hat, the pharmaceutical industry delighted us within a very short time with a gene vaccine, and the world was vaccinated. Studies that usually last up to 10 years. We do not need. Clean with it. And even the people who would never eat anything genetically modified are being given the injection. The immune system needs to be boosted. Let's go again and again. So I put on my flim-flam glasses and take a closer look. Oh, what must I see there? The world is not what it seems. Powerful players are at work here, controlling the fortunes and direction of this world in their favor. They sit in their castles on the mountains, meet regularly, hatch new smuts, pull the strings and control their installed puppets. I make the world how I like it. You can buy anything and anyone with money, and so you do. I put the pieces of the puzzle together, follow the white rabbit deep into the burrow, and am amazed at what I discover. The flim-flam glasses cover my shocked, wide-open eyes, as well as my reddened from crying, as well as my eyes reddened from crying. Seeking the truth is not for the faint of heart. Not everyone can handle it, and for many, it's better not to delve too deeply. But who, like me, loves the truth and can cope with it? I should get my own flim-flam glasses as soon as possible, put them on and take a closer look. And when the truth gets to be too much, I also take off the flim-flam glasses for a moment, treat myself to a few beers, something to smoke, and forget all the shit with good loud music. But once you dive in and track down the truth, you just want to keep looking. Courage is contagious. Be skeptic. Let's flim-flam. So no doubt there are many of you out there that are pumping your fist and going, yeah, hell yeah, right on. Love it. Nailed it. And right, you should. It's a very, it's a very rousing message there. And it's not that far off from kind of what Nebu was advocating for, which is why I think this is such an important discussion and why I think skepticism education is so important. Because our idea here is not just to expose you to the notion of skepticism. Our idea is to train you in the tools and the techniques of skepticism. And most of what Timbu said there, as earnest and as righteous as it was, and I love the spirit of it, it is not skepticism. In fact, most of it is the opposite of skepticism. And what I mean by that is Timbu has, and listen, my intention here is not to call out Timbu. This is most of the people that come into the Skeptic channel. This is kind of how they envision skepticism. People think that skepticism means looking at the world differently, or looking at the world deeply, critically, taking a skeptical eye, which it kind of means that, but it's more specific than that. It is a trained and deliberate way of looking at claims. There is an actual skeptical toolkit there, and it takes its tools from the methods of science. So these are methods and tools and techniques which have been honed over hundreds of years, and which have given us incredible advancements. Things like vaccines and penicillin, and a longer lifespan, a higher quality of life, eradicated diseases, GPS, your microwaves, all these things. The fact that you can take a flight, the fact that we're not all dying from scurvy or measles or mumps. I mean, all these things are owed to scientific advancements and through systematic investigation of claims and of evidence, beginning with the scientific revolution in the 17th century, and the realization that that real gains can be gained through empirical observation and evidence. But so what most of the claims that Timbu is making in his screed here, most of them are extraordinary claims that are not backed by the evidence. So what skepticism is exactly, right? What do you know what what the ECREE candle stands for? What ECREE stands for? ECREE. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. This is one of the pillars of skepticism, a key skeptical axiom or maxim. And so Timbu has touched on a lot of extraordinary claims, right? That the vaccines that have been released to address the COVID virus, that they are dangerous in some way, or that they've not been thoroughly vetted, or not properly tested. Genetically modified organisms or ingredients are somehow dangerous, or less than, or not good for you, or are dangerous for you. And I could even see Trevor, I'm sure, pumping his fist at some of these things, especially when you start talking about, the American diet, or the state of, American food, or modern food, right? But or even naturopathy, right? This idea that alternative medicines or natural medicines or natural remedies are better than those things being peddled by the pharmaceutical industry. And maybe you can point to some quibbles with, the state of, big corporations. Maybe there are some things there that are unethical, and that may be. But there's nothing specific about the pharmaceutical industry and their manner of business that necessarily makes them, more subject to scrutiny, or that makes their product less safe or less reliable than any other corporation. The people that make your toilet paper, or that make your Q-tips, or that make your baby food. If you're going to make these extraordinary claims about the safety of genetically modified foods, or against the safety of pharmaceuticals, or against the safety of vaccines, then you've got to have really good evidence to support those claims, because the claims for all those things is really good. A lot of research is done for these things before they're released, and all that research is open to the public. It's reviewed by other scientists, and all of that is out there. And I'm not saying that all these things are beyond review or reproach. Absolutely, you should be. You should question everything. You should do your due diligence, research these things. But so far as I'm aware, most of these claims, as they've been presented, when you look into them, the evidence for the extraordinary claims being offered here does not stand up to scrutiny. So our skeptical channel, and once we get the skeptical Twitter space off the ground, will be perfect forums. If you have evidence for any of these extraordinary claims, we can get into them, and we can really look at them with a skeptical eye and see what's there and see what stands up to scrutiny. And as skeptics, we don't stake ourselves to any position. if genetically modified food or genetically modified organisms, for instance, are bad for you, it's not. I have no skin in the game. I have no vested interest in wanting GMOs to be good for you or not. In my reading of it, it seems to be that all the evidence is that they're not nutritionally deficient or inferior in any way to the other to naturally grown foods, and if they can be grown more efficiently and for a better price, all those things, then all the better. But if the evidence says, hey, actually, hold on, they are dangerous, or that they are dangerous for agriculture, whatever the argument against them might be, then we're open to it. As skeptics, we want to see that evidence and evaluate it, and we'll make our evaluations from there. But we always, as skeptics, we always follow the evidence wherever it may lead, and that's critical. I suspect, or I fear sometimes when I read something like this, that all the evidence is not there, right? That we have not, there's not an evidence trail that can lead us to these conclusions that we can all follow. So that is the challenge in front of us. That's what we're trying to do with drug receipts, is to give all of you the same skill sets, the same toolkit, so that when we look at these things, if you say, hold on, I am nervous about the state of food in the US, or I'm nervous about the quality of modern food, we can give you the toolkit. We want to give you the tools to approach those claims skeptically, see what kind of research, what kind of data is out there. And then we can present our findings to the group, and we can look at these things together.
So you've got some fundamental kind of first line mechanisms, right, that you can apply pretty quickly to kind of anything. And these sort of, I know we've talked a little bit about it, but just for the people who have no idea, and maybe just as in finishing this, because I know everybody in the Discord is screaming for alpha, and they all want to know why I've got this particular background on camera today, which is coming. So hold on to your seats. But before we get into that, can you maybe talk a little bit about some of these tools that you're talking about and what they mean, and so people have got somewhere to start before we get into it more in the spaces and on Discord?
Sure. Yeah. Just really quickly before we get into our ghost stories. But we talked about the ECRI candle, right, a little bit. So that's one tool. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And so we've talked about the value and the importance of evidence. And we've also talked about, using the skeptical tools to help vet and qualify that evidence. Another one and there's only 3 in our collection, but another one is Occam's razor. And I'll go back to Nebu's post, but Nebu said, that Occam's razor reminds us that there are layers to everything. Not everything is as it seems on the surface. So again, alluding to this idea that, we can peel away the layers, or we can cut through the surface presentation in order to find the real truth underneath. And again, I think this gets to kind of the general misreading or misunderstanding of skepticism, that really what it is. I think most people at first blush think it is a call to arms, or an admonition to not take things for surface value, right? If the government or the man's telling you we put a man on the moon, hey man, you don't have to believe that hype. There's always something deeper under the surface. Use Occam's razor to cut through the bullshit. And that's not exactly what Occam's razor means. Really, what Occam's razor is a way to cut the bullshit, but not by cutting away the surface layer. What it is when there are multiple competing hypotheses, what Occam's razor tries to guide us or steer us toward is the hypothesis, or the suggested solution, which requires the least amount of speculation. So the less stuff you have to make up to account for something, then typically those are the answers you want to prefer. So in the case of ghost, for instance, since we're talking about ghosts, and we already talked about the mysterious Winchester house. So if you have this mysterious house, right, and this heiress and this widow who's built the house, and we have 2 competing theories. One is that she has been consulted by a medium who told her that there are ghosts in the house, and in order to keep the ghosts away, she is building all these rooms because the house is haunted. Right, it's the most haunted house in the world, and she's trying to confuse the ghost. Another competing hypothesis is that she is a philanthropist and that she employs hundreds of workers, and she wants to keep them gainfully employed. And so if just building, even if sometimes, not always crossing your T's and dotting your I's to make sure that, everything is perfect, but if they can just keep building, then it's worth it to keep them employed. And to never, if it means you're going to keep, construction going on a house indefinitely for years, where everybody around you thinks you're insane, right? Surely you could have wrapped up the project within, 20 years, but you just keep building. But yeah, if you keep all these people employed, then it's worth it. So between these two competing hypotheses, using Occam's razor, which one do you have to speculate more about? Over here, you have Sally Windsor. And we know that she's a philanthropist, right? So we don't have to speculate about that. She gives to other charities. We know that she employs hundreds of people. You don't have to speculate about that. They live on the premises. Each one of them is a person that you can look at their own historical records. We know that she's a philanthropist, so it makes sense that she'd want to keep them employed. And we know that they kept building the house for years, and they all made a wage. So there's no speculation required there. On the other side, you've got this medium that she allegedly met in Boston. There's no record of that medium. You have the notion that ghosts have to exist in order for them to be haunting this house. So now you've got to speculate about ghosts. What are ghosts? What are they made of? Do they emit energy, matter? Are they made of matter? Can we trace them? If they're conducting seances, then we've got to speculate about how they communicate with humans. So once you start going down this rabbit hole, there is so much that you have to speculate that not only are there not answers to, but we aren't even sure what the questions are. So between these two hypotheses, Occam's razor says, which of these two competing hypotheses requires the least amount of speculation? And it's clear that the promoted or the proposed hypothesis that she's a philanthropist employing hundreds of people for years requires the least amount of speculation. So that should be our preferred hypothesis. That should be the one that we give the most credence to. And it doesn't mean this is not a scientific rule. It doesn't mean that Occam's razor will always guide you to the right answer. But the idea is you're trying to cut through the bullshit. And as a general rule, usually it will steer you in the right direction. And so in this case, I think that it is borne out. But that is actually what Occam's razor means. We try to give preference to the solution that requires the least amount of speculation. Does that make sense?
100%. So what about, we're talking about ghosts, we're talking about ghost stories, and I can feel we're very close to getting to the crux of this
Let's
podcast
talk about ghosts, yeah.
and the bit that everybody's interested in. So I want to kick this off with a ghost story that I have.
Okay.
And this is completely off runner show, so Arlo doesn't know that I plan to come and tell the story. When I lived in Queenstown when I was younger, we had a seance, and it was the first time any of us in the room, there was my brother, myself, and a couple of other friends of ours. It was the first time any of us had decided to try a seance. So we made we asked friends how to make a Ouija board, and we set it all up. We had a candle in the window by an open window. We had a candle in front of us. We had the board laid out, and we all joined hands and we did the seance thing. And something happened that night that I, to this day, as I sit here, I cannot explain. But we started asking the questions of this spirit. We called for a spirit to come and talk to us, and then we started asking questions of this spirit. Mind you, none of us have any idea what we're doing. And then suddenly the little token we're all holding starts to move around, and we're all saying, stop moving it, don't touch, don't try, convinced that somebody in the group was just fucking with us all and messing us around. But after a while, we realized nobody really was trying to, that we were all desperately trying to understand if this was real. And we started asking the spirit questions. And at some point, the spirit started telling us the story of this spirit's life and how they'd OD'd on heroin and had died young, and that they wanted us to send a message to their family to tell them that they were safe, that they were watching over the family, and that they were happy that everybody had found happiness. And we asked back, how do we contact them? And she spelt out a name. And then this was back in the day when they had phone books and the internet wasn't a thing. So that's how far this story goes back. But we went into the phone book and we found the name that she'd spelt out and the phone number and everything. But we never had the guts to ring that person because, you know, that's such a crazy thing to do, right? We've just been in a seance talking to your dead daughter who's asked us to send you this message. So none of us did it in the end, but it was a very, very compelling instance of something paranormal happening in our environment that I still cannot to this day explain. So I thought I'd share that as a way to kick off this conversation about ghosts.
Can we apply Occam's razor to your experience there? Would you like to do it? Let's see what you picked up. So we have two competing hypotheses. Tell me what they are.
One is that there's a spirit in the room and the spirit's talking to us. And the other one is that somebody's directing the token around and pretending that they're not, right? That, in my mind, that's the two possible scenarios that one of the group is doing this.
And of those two hypotheses, which requires the most amount of speculation?
Of course, the spirit in the room.
Why is that?
Because there's no compelling evidence to document that spirits exist. There's no scientific basis that I'm aware of. There's a lot of images that suggest paranormal activities happening on. There's a lot of what ifs and smoke and mirrors and maybes, but there's no compelling, scientifically based evidence to suggest that I'm aware of that suggests ghosts exist or that spirits exist.
Not only scientifically based evidence, but there is just no evidence that stands up to scrutiny of spirits or ghosts. I mean, as you said, there's a whole lot of stories, just like the one that you've shared. And there's a whole lot of blurry images, and grainy or muffled audio recordings. But there's nothing that would.
Images, right? We can show that talks a little bit about this. Have we got some images in the?
We do have a historical image, of a ghost. But yeah, so Trevor, right. So spirits requires a whole lot of speculation. What are spirits? Do they exist? How would it be communicating with you? Because anything that happens in our reality, in physical reality, has to be acting on some kind of, force, right? So what force are they using to interact with you, to move your hands? And if that force exists, because clearly they are moving the token or they're moving your hands, then that is something that should be measurable. And to this day, no one has come up with either a plausible mechanism for how they're doing it or anything that can be detected or that has been detected.
One final piece of evidence that I witnessed in this particular session, which again, I can't explain. So we had a candle against an open window, and we had a candle next to us where we were doing the seance by the table, and we asked the spirit if they really existed to show us a sign in the candles. And as honestly as I'm sitting here having this podcast with you right now, I could see both candles in my plane of vision, and the candle on the floor next to us extended to about a foot in height. It went paper thin, and then it folded at 90 degrees. So the flame itself went about a foot in height, paper thin, and folded at 90 degrees. And the candle in the window didn't move. So that was something that we all saw. That was when everything came to an end. That was when we all freaked the fuck out. That was the end of the seance. And we swore we'd never do it again. But that was some very strange, unexplainable. So, yeah.
And so here, I think it's important, right, to point out a couple of explanations that require, caution before we jump to conclusions. But so some common reactions given these circumstances, we oftentimes confuse something that is unexplained with something that is unexplainable, right? Mm-hmm. So just because we don't know what the explanation is doesn't mean that there isn't an explanation. And that doesn't give us license then to jump to just what is the most incredible, least plausible explanation. It could have been any number of things, changing circumstances in the environment, in the room, whatever it was. And to leap to, evidence of ghosts is just sort of, that is skipping a whole lot of other more plausible explanations along the way. And then the other side of that same coin is this is called an argument from ignorance, right? Just because we don't know what the explanation was doesn't mean that there isn't an explanation. People do this all the time, right? When they are looking at strange aerial phenomenon, right? And they don't know how something could move like that. just because you or I don't know, can't explain the physics of it, doesn't mean that there isn't an explanation. And again, it doesn't give us license then just to jump to the least likely, least plausible explanation. Well, certainly this is evidence of intelligent life visiting, our atmosphere. There usually are much better explanations. And even if we don't know them, they're probably out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I still am not convinced, despite that very compelling and very bizarre experience. I'm still not convinced that spirits and ghosts are a thing. But I've definitely had my share of moments in life where I've gone, can't really explain that. Going to leave that one up to maybe someday there'll be an explanation.
Well, and you know what? Listen, and it is fun. Like if we say we ever could pull off a party at the mysterious Winchester Mansion, right? We would get into that. And that's part of the experience, right? In fact, what you described, right, is we prime our behavior. We turn down the light, we light candles, we set up the Ouija board, and all these things are priming us for an expectation. We expect for weird stuff to happen. So any noise we hear, any anomaly in the candles, we're going to take it all as sign or evidence of something. Whereas if you were at the offices of Otterfish, whatever, and you heard the exact same things happen, if you heard the exact same noise, you would not give it a second thought. You would know it was something outside or a neighbor. You know what I mean? But once you have these spooky conditions, we are primed to interpret all these things as more meaningful and more ominous than otherwise we would.
Yeah, it's kind of a confirmation bias type thing, right? Where you kind of
absolutely
you're looking for an outcome, and you chase evidence that proves that outcome, and ignore evidence that doesn't contribute to the story that you're trying to tell.
Quick statistic for you, Trevor, because you're not alone. How many people do you think believe in ghosts? I'm going to give you some. I've got polls from 1990 all the way through 2019. And
believe in ghosts.
Yes. How many people believe in ghosts? And the wording for these things does kind of matter. The first two polls that I'm going to cite are actual Gallup polls. And their wording was they were asking for people who believe in ghosts, who believe that there are ghosts or spirits of dead people that can come back in certain places and situations. So that would fit, the criteria of what you had there in your seance, right? This is some kind of spirit that comes back and for a certain situation and can make their presence known. In 1990, fully 1/4 of the population believed in those kinds of ghosts or spirits, 25%. In 2005, when they asked this again, it went up to 32%. Gallup hasn't done a poll on this question specifically again since then, but there's another quite credible polling resource called IPSOS, and they did a poll in 2019, and it risen all the way to 46%.
Wow!
And, I think there's no question that as a population, we are getting more and more credulous, more and more likely to believe incredible claims, and we see it exploited, right, in politics and in marketing, where we are just open to incredible ideas and we just don't even care about evidence, quite honestly, anymore. We just sort of adopt the claims that we want to believe or that align with our worldview.
This growing kind of socio-cultural problem where we've become headline readers, right? So our attention spans and our need for explanation have reduced to headlines and less than 15-second video clips, and we see one of them and are convinced that it may or may not be true, and we go on and build our values and our ideals around those things, which is clearly fraught with fucking danger, right? Like that's arguably the worst possible approach to anything.
And then these headlines start to get curated and filtered into these echo chambers where we are only looking at the headlines that fit into our predetermined or preferred worldview. So it is
the algorithms, way of interpreting who we are. Yep.
And so what we are advocating for here is not for any particular position, right? Because if you want to talk about politics, people are just as guilty on the left and the right for these echo chambers and for just sort of preferring their ideology over the evidence. As good skeptics, we don't stake ourselves to claims or to positions. And I say that all the time. Skeptics are about the process more than the position. So to me, it doesn't matter what my preferred positions are. And believe me, I've had to let go of a lot of things that my kind of my traditionally liberal leaning preferences would want to be true. But I have to follow the evidence wherever it leads. And that has caused me to reform and review some of my preferred beliefs. But that is one of the prices of skepticism. You have to be prepared to follow the evidence wherever it leads. You want to talk about ghost, Trevor?
Yeah, let's get into some ghost stories. Should we bring?
We talked about the Winchester house. Yeah.
Should we bring Jesse back up?
Yeah, let's bring up Jesse for sure.
And let's dive into the ghost that I think everybody's asking about. Hey, Jesse. Oh, there's a knee. Drink a shot.
It's the spa bear.
That's the spa bear and the spa bear's knee. So I think there's a particular ghost that I've noticed that people have, done what they do in our wonderful community, and they've screenshot and created a meme out of it. And that is the hairstyle of the ghost on your particular shirt, Mr. Arlo Eisenberg. So can we talk a little bit about the ghosts and the history behind the ghosts that are on your shirt, and what evidence is there to prove that they are real?
Well, so this is interesting. So producer, we're on a one-up of me, which is cool. Hi, everybody. Hi, drug snugglers. But let's take a look at the logo. Let's show the full ghost logo by itself, so we can talk about this for a second. So for those of you that don't know, before drug receipts, one of my projects was Ghost Brand. And this was the logo for Ghost Brand. And even before Ghost Brand, this was the logo for another project, streetwear project, that I was involved with called Franco Shade. At one point, Franco Shade and my partner at Franco Shade, Joe Navron, we split up, and he kept on with Franco Shade and I kept on with Ghost Brand, and I retained the logo here that I had, which was the Ghost and Knives logo. And so the origin of Ghost Brand, the reason I wanted that name, and the story's a lot like drug receipts, but you can substitute ghost or you can substitute drugs for ghost. I had this fascination with ghosts, not because I believed in them, but again, because it was sort of this evidence or this example of things that so many people are obsessed with, or they give so much credence to, but for which there is not really much good evidence for. I'm fascinated by
50% of the population believe in them, right?
As we've seen, right? Almost half the population now believe in ghosts, believe that ghosts and spirits are real, and that they interact in our lives. And so I'm fascinated by these things. I'm fascinated by the areas where skepticism kind of bumps up against, popular culture or, our present day realities. And so I think ghosts are cool. And so I wanted to I was using that as a way to kind of explore these concepts, much the same way we use drugs now to explore these concepts and to kind of poke people and prod people in the places where they might be kind of uncomfortable, or where the ideas don't always match up with the evidence. So Trevor, you mentioned this shirt. This actually is not a Ghost Brand shirt. This is the predecessor. This is a Franco Shade shirt, even before I left to do Ghost Brand. But you can see it's all ghost. And what's interesting about this shirt is you can see here, this ghost right here is kind of a variation on the Ghost and Knives, right? This is the ghost from the logo coming out and starting to be animated. But so are all these other ghosts. I was kind of experimenting with different characterizations of the ghost logo. I wanted to have a character that was a ghost. And this was before we would settle on a ghost character that would become Frankie. We named it Frankie the Ghost. And Joel, and if we can show the next, the ghost bomb, you'll see Frankie here riding. Oh, right. So that's a shirt that I'm wearing. Just another example. I guess I didn't realize I would actually be wearing the shirt tonight. So now we're just showing you two ways of looking at it. But let's go to the next one, the ghost bomb. There is Frankie. So this is kind of this cute little stylized character of a ghost riding.
Very familiar, isn't it?
Yes. Anyone in the drug receipts community, especially now here on the heels of drug wars, as we've just announced our first warlord. Yes, guys, we tell you all the time that all of most of the work in drug receipts is derivative and comes from previous iterations of these ideas and these characters and these illustrations that have just been bouncing around in my catalog. So this is a version of it from Ghost Brand.
So roughly when was that? What year are we talking about that those designs started to come through?
So the shirt that I'm wearing, this is like 2007, right? The bomb is probably maybe around 2010, something like that. I'm guessing maybe 2012, something like that. But so in all these cases, we're talking about like over 10 years ago.
So there's 10 years of history in the drug receipts brand just based on that little story alone, let alone all of the other
20 years if you go back to Frank O'Shea, 20 years
Right.
if you go back to Frank O'Shea. And, even further back than that, if you go to Senate, right, which is 30 years ago. So yeah, just building up this catalog of imagery, iconography, ideas, themes. So the ghost writing the bomb, right? That ties into the drug wars, which we've just concluded. But now let's try and segue into where we're going, right? We'll get from where we've been, and now let's see where we're going. So let's look at the ghost from Ghost Brand with wearing the hockey mask. This was another release from Ghost Brand. Does that look familiar?
It all makes sense. Time is a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle, just like Earth.
So there's the character, the ghost character, Frankie, short for Frank O'Shea. But Frankie with the knife, with the hockey mask. And yes, this looks familiar to our drug snugglers. This is an old Ghost Brand graphic from over 10 years ago. And so do you believe in ghosts, Jesse?
I think I do. I'm looking at the evidence right now.
So if, you know what I didn't do? So if Trevor's hypothesis is true, then things can come back from the dead and revisit us in our lives, at some time in the future. So people have wondered, is Ghost Brand dead? You can consider this here, Trevor, Jesse, and I. This is our seance, right? We're doing a little seance here, and we are summoning ghosts. And so let's see if we can conjure something back from the dead, something resembling something from our distant history here. But Joellen, let's show and let's tease something that's coming in our Halloween drop.
Let's go! He's back, bitches.
So this is something that's going to be dropped with our Halloween collection. It is not the Ghost and Knives, but it is our Mask and Knives. And for those of you with a discriminating eye, you'll notice that the knives are changed. These are not the knives from the Ghost Brand collection. These are actually based on the knives that are in our Drug Receipts collection. That is the mask from our Drug Receipts collection, except it's got a crack in it now, another nod to kind of the ethos of Drug Receipts, right? Our cracked crowns, our cracked halos. Now we've got a cracked mask here. And this is just full of nods to previous work and to the themes running through our artwork going back 30 years. But the Senate pro team 30 years ago, our pro writers, Senate was a rollerblading team, was called the Kill Team. So this shirt here, which says "My Life with the Drug Receipts Kill Team," which in the splatter script with the mask and knives, on one sleeve it's got Kill Team, on the other sleeve it's got Drug Receipts. For all those of you wondering if we were ever going to start making merch again, if there'd ever be Ghost Brand merch again, there won't necessarily be Ghost Brand merch again, but the ghost of Ghost lives in this creation right here in the Mask and Knives. This is a tribute to our legacy, to our history. And to anyone who was there for it, who's been along for the ride, who's stuck around this long, this is for you. And for anyone who's joining us just now with Drug Receipts, this is for you. This is straight from the Drug Receipts community and all the legacy and the history that comes with that. So for all of us that have been here for 30 years, for 20 years, that are just have been on board starting right now, this is for all of us. This is for drug snugglers and all that means. But that's not all. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. This is for Halloween, so you got to have a place to put your candy. Joellen, do we have an image of the tote bag? Yes, so we're going to put the image. We've got the image on a tote bag. And guys, this shirt and tote bag are available as a trait drop. So we've been teasing it, but anyone that has got the hockey mask, you are eligible for this trait drop. We are going to put out a claim form for the next. We will take a snapshot in 48 hours. So on 2 nights from now, on Wednesday, October 19th at 11:59 p.m. That's when we are going to take the snapshot. That's 2 nights from now. That is Central Time. All this will be posted in the Discord for your reference and on our socials. But we will take a wallet snapshot. Everybody that has got the hockey mask, you are eligible to claim this custom, super limited hockey mask trait drop. Guys, there will be, as we mentioned, this is all the stuff that we build in drug receipts in our little slice of the ecosystem here, our personal exclusive drug receipts ecosystem. You will see numerous iterations of it, right? We are building our own catalog of imagery and iconography. But this version of it, this colorway, this Halloween colorway, it's just for this drop. So after this stuff is gone, you won't see this version of it. You won't see this color of it. You won't see the black and orange. So the tote bags, the t-shirts, that's just for this collection. But we have another thing. There's one more thing that I haven't shared with you. And this is not part of the trait drop, but this will be a very limited drop just for Halloween. Those of you that have the trait will get an exclusive discount to it on top of all of our drug smugglers. So again, another exciting thing that's happening here before Halloween that will happen this week is we are finally launching our first iteration of the drugstore. So all these things that we're showing you and more, they're going to be in the drugstore. We have got tiered token gated pricing so that anybody, rollerbladers out there that want to get their hands on Ghost brand merchandise that haven't been able to for the last few years, that want to get this hockey mask and knives drop, this Halloween drop, they're going to be able to do it in our store. But if they're not drug snugglers, they are paying the retail price. All of our drug snugglers, everyone that owns a token, a drug receipts token, you will have access to token gated special pricing. And then on top of that, if you have the trait, if you have the hockey mask trait, you get even more special pricing on the hat. So you're going to get the t-shirt and the tote bag for free. We'll put out the claim forms after we do the wallet snapshot. And you will also get access to the limited edition hats. And these hats are super, super sick. Guys, we are not some Web3 project putting logos on merchandise. If you thought that shirt was sick, you're fucking right. It was sick because that's what we do here. We know how to make stuff snugging ill. So now do you want to see the hat? Let's take a sneak preview of the hat.
Let's look at the hat.
We've got
the hat's everybody's favorite. Everybody's favorite is the hat for sure.
So we are putting out a special Halloween edition of this.
Shut up and take my money.
Of this hockey mask, and that's not all. And guys, I'm not even showing you all of it. Joel, and we have another image of it here, don't we? This thing listen, I can't help myself. I put graphics all over stuff. My life with the drug receipts kill team. So if you like graphics, if you like fucking custom stuff, that's what we do. It's not a logo on a hat, guys. This one is a snapback. For those of you that are asking, this is going to be a snapback hat. And there is one more graphic on this, another embroidery that we're not even showing you yet because we like to surprise and delight. And we are giving you a whole lot here tonight. We want to reward you for the patience that you guys have shown, but there is still more stuff. So guys, this is what we deliver with drug receipts. This is why we're here. This is why you are all here. The competition is awesome. We have rewarded you guys for participating in the drug wars. It's been fun. It's community engagement. We've given prizes to select few participants. But with this drop, right, this is the real demonstration of what drug receipts is about. This is the real value. Exclusive drops, exclusive merchandise. Oh, and we didn't mention yet, but that Ghost and Knives, not Ghost and Knives, that Mask and Knives, that is going to trigger a brand new augmented reality animation, which we also are not sharing with you tonight. But for the hat, the tote bag, the shirts, they are all going to have an augmented reality component that will be triggered by that Mask and Knives. So again, that's just what we do here. And this is just the beginning, another proof of concept.
Can I just say, this is only a glimpse of what's inside the cap. I know everybody's thinking about and talking about what's in the cap. Here's a little glimpse. To consider this just the cap, like poking open a tiny little bit, and you're getting a keyhole look into what's coming. Because
a microdose of the cap.
Yeah, holy shit. When you find out what's in that cap, it's going to blow your mind.
Guys, with each release, right? It's just we are adding layers upon layers of value for you. First of all, we're giving it away, right? So there are constantly going to be trait drops, right? We are coming up with stuff based around traits for our community, right? For our token holders. So just by holding on to it already, you've got access to exclusive stuff for free. But then for everybody else, just by having a token, you're going to get first access to exclusive fire drops from the premier brand in Web3 that people are going to be, this is coveted stuff that people are going to be trying to get access to, that you guys all have first dibs at. And then on top of that, there's tiered and layered access where you guys are going to be getting discounts on top of discounts. What you don't get for free, you get for discount. What you don't get for a discount, you get for a better discount. I mean, it's just layers on top of layers of value. Also, there are going to be, not for this drop, but for future drops, just like the hoodie, there's going to be Web3 components added to it, right? And we've already mentioned that there's going to be augmented reality. So this is just fire stuff that people are going to be talking about, that people are going to want, and you guys, just by being a part of the community, have first exclusive access to it. It's super sick.
Yeah, drug receipts. We're bringing Web3 to streetwear. That's what's
But
happening.
wait, there's more. Nice, LB.
Yeah, it's super sick. So without dropping too much alpha, because I feel like we're just dropping alpha left, right, and center right now. But without dropping too much more alpha, you probably heard through all of this conversation that you will be able to buy this stuff online, which precipitates an announcement that will be coming very, very soon, that the drugstore will be opening for your financially draining, closet renovating, culturally significant barbecue dress wear that you can grab as much of as you want, will be available to all of you beautiful snugglers very, very, very soon.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
Oh my God. Oh
Drink,
my God,
have a drink.
Have a drink.
Ah.
2 drinks.
Yeah, guys, it's super awesome, and we're so excited to be able to share it with you. And you know, we've been teasing it for a while. The drug wars has been such an all-consuming experience. It's gotten so much of our attention. It's captured so much of the brand's attention, but it also has attracted new eyeballs to the brand. And so it's so exciting to be able to introduce something like this. As everybody's looking at the brand, we're not just drug wars, right? This is really the promise of what drug receipts is. And so to be able to deliver on that promise continually and to demonstrate to people what it actually means. It's more than just a promise. It is fire. It is real fire gear that you can look at and that you'll be wearing within, a matter of weeks. And the fact that we get to share it with our drug snugglers, with our community, just makes it all the more special and makes it all worth it. So thanks to you guys, to the drug snugglers, for all that you mean to the community. None of this is possible without you. Drug Wars is a community generated project. We just sit back and wait for you guys to create propaganda, to build your teams, to pump your lore, to get out there and hustle for votes. So in every way, this is about you guys, and y'all are the ones that have brought the eyeballs to the project. So, we do it together, right? Together we are going to make it. So let's go, guys. Drug wars.
Let's fucking go.
It's happening, guys. It's happening. Everything is happening all the time, always. Even when we're sitting back and watching you guys and waiting for y'all to make propaganda, we're behind the scenes thinking of, okay, what's going to be the art direction for this next drop? Well, we have an entire generation of people that are waiting to see something like this again. And then we got to balance this for the world of Web3. And then dude, we're always working. We're always working. This is where it really begins.
You're 100% right, Jesse, because we've all decided, and it's not something we've kept secret, right? This is not going to be earth-shattering news to anyone, but we've decided that Halloween is our event for the year, right? Halloween is Drug Receipts Con, or whatever you want to call it. We'll give it a name at some point, or maybe the community will, but it's our event for the year. So we talked a little bit, or Arlo mentioned that there's going to be an AR experience to go with the Halloween drop. So you need to get your freaking hands on your drop. So you've still got time on the secondary to buy yourself a mask receipt. If you can't
And
get
good luck.
one, you
Good luck.
need
There's
to
not
go
many
and
out there.
stalk somebody, make massive WETH offers, whatever you've got to do to grab one, because it's a limited edition run, complete with AR experience, which should be live when you attend our party in fucking Dallas that is being thrown by
Let's go.
Paradise and is going to be
Let's
in the
go.
front fucking cover of Rolling Stone. Jesse, tell us all about this deal.
Well, you know, we already were in Rolling Stone. But no, thank you, Trevor, for that intro. Yeah, guys. So I explained this on one of my spaces, or one of the party space last week, that I have been really balancing a tricky life where I have a very public persona that throws parties for the community IRL in Dallas that I have cultivated and really respected for a really long time. So in the last year and a half, I started this party series called Paradise. And so far it's been pretty damn good. And then one day Arlo calls me up and he's like, "Hey, you're doing really well with that. Do you want to like start Trigger Seeds with me and Brooke and whatever comes our way?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So, you know, as you guys know, Web3 has been, it takes a lot of your time. It's pretty crazy. It's moving constantly. But what was always important for me is that Paradise stay, how do I say this, was consistent and kept going. So I've lived in sort of like a wedge between two universes where I've been in the Web3 metaverse and I've been still trying to keep up public appearances and responsibilities of throwing the party and fostering this environment. So now this month is really exciting because I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. I love drug receipts, obviously, and we have such a big, you know, stake in Halloween to where I was like, well, why not we throw a party and make it make sense? So not only are we throwing a party and it's, you know, going to be great and whatever, but what's really special about this is that it's a Halloween roller skate party. So if you have your special gray skates, if you have your merch, if you have an imagination, if you can travel to Dallas, Texas on October 30th, you can come attend the party. And yeah, I'm going to premiere the first look of the flyer officially. If Joellen, do you mind bringing up the roller boogie flyer, please, so we can dissect this?
This is your
There we
invitation.
go.
There
Cool.
it is.
Rad. So rad.
This is this is a really cool flyer that was designed by a really talented artist named Michelle Spearman, and she absolutely killed it. She does this like 80s style airbrush art. So, you know, I live in Arlo's world all the time, where Arlo is my creative dictator. But I was like, Arlo, if we throw a party with you, you have to let me and the team take over creative direction. So this is a really cool flyer because as you can see from the right side, you have the Drug Receipts logo that's super drippy and bloody and yet to be a controversial piece, I should say. But Joellen,
It's
if
interesting
can we
what's
go
written.
to the next file? Oh, what was that, Trevor?
So it's interesting what's written immediately above the logo there.
Mm. Oh yes, so it's Drug Receipts presents Paradise at Roller Boogie. And below are the details. Roller, but if you look at it, you can see the letters kind of trail off like it's
Yeah, it's cool.
like it's haunted. This is also our very first like violent controversial flyer that we've done. Well, probably our second. But yeah, so on this slide, guys, you can see I zoomed in on a couple of things here because there is some alpha, right? If you can, I'm going to just show you. So for the laces and the wheels, originally they were a different color. They were actually red and turquoise. And I was like, nope, that's not going to work. So what we did was I sent the artist the color palette from Arlo's, I think he created this like deck with all the designs for this upcoming thing and maybe what's in the cap. And I took some of those color schemes and I had her apply the orange that is in the Jason mask shirt that you just saw and the yellow that is in our branded colors. And so I zoomed into on the logo again, just because I thought, gosh, the Drug Receipts logo looks so good like that. Like this like
It's dope,
super
yeah.
drippy, gnarly, bloody thing. And then of
It's
course
good.
there's actually an homage to Trevor in a weird way in the details. So I was inspired by the Timberland boots
Mhm.
and how they have the little insignia on like the bottom heel. And because Arlo has mentioned that he loves graphics, he loves putting graphics on everything. I am quite the opposite, and I like things that are a little bit more quiet and subdued. So I put part of some of the motifs that are on the upcoming drop that you guys just saw, but it might also be alluding to something else that you guys are just going to have to find out.
Ooh, but wait, there's more. We've become the free steak knives of the metaverse, right?
Right.
We just keep giving. I think it's because we've been so pent up for so long wanting to deliver, and then Drug Wars just became the almighty kind of thing that it became. And so now we're kind of just getting it all out of our system. Like, here, have this, and then have this. And, yeah.
Exactly. No,
So,
one thing
how do you get into your party, Jesse? If you're a drug smuggler, what is the deal?
well, if you're a drug receipts holder, you can drink for free, as I've had at previous parties. But if you're adjacent, well, I don't know. We still
Do we
haven't
get a
figured it
drug
out. It
smuggler
depends on-
wristband?
Yes, you should get a drug smuggler wristband. And
Oh, yeah.
because it's a ticketed event for the public, if you are a drug receipts holder and if you hold the mask tray, or you know what, fine. If you're just a drug receipt holder and you come to the party, you'll be taken care of. I'll just put
You'll
it
be
out.
taken care of. That's enough.
That is
Trick
the
or
promise.
fucking treat. It's going to be treat all night for you. That's right. And if you're not a drug receipts holder, it's trick all night for you. You get kicked out and you're not allowed in. No,
And you have to buy a ticket.
you have to buy a ticket.
So
How do we
it's
prove we're
going
a
back
drug
to
receipt holder?
Oh, we're
Do
doing.
what?
We're
Show a
doing a
wallet at the
validation
door?
thing. Yeah, you're gonna have to
we
validate at the door.
can maybe show a wallet at the door, or we'll create another token gated form where people can
Or
fill it out
RSVP?
with just their information. And
Mm-hmm.
then at the party, you have this nice little guest list that has current information, and you should be good to go.
Yeah.
They're still building
Yeah.
out ways of how we're going to use NFTs to create a more ticketed system. But until we develop that a little bit further, and when I say we, I mean this industry as a whole, or maybe it might even be just us that does it.
Is that on
That
the
is
Paradox
kind of
roadmap?
the method we have to do.
Awesome.
Is it on
Super sick,
Paradox?
Jesse. Can't wait for that. That sounds so radical. We'll
And
definitely be there.
I have to also shout out to the Auckland contingent. If you can
Oh,
get
yeah.
yourself to Auckland, we're doing it on the 29th because it's a Saturday and we like to party on Saturdays, not Sundays. So if you can get your ass to Auckland, keep your eye on the Discord, and in general, if you're following any kind of social media relating to us, you will get the details of where that is. But keep the 29th of the month, October we're in. That's right. 29th of October. Clear in your diary. Get your costume ready. It's going to be a Halloween-themed event. If you aren't dressed in Halloween attire, you will look stupid. We are still allowed in, but you will be the only person in there that isn't. So you'll just look ridiculous. So don't look
You'll
ridiculous.
be allowed in, but everybody will make fun of you. We'll shame you.
We're not giving $1,000. That's going on the bar. No one person will get $1,000 at this party. Everybody will drink their share of it.
That's awesome.
Oh.
So great news. So Halloween we are claiming Halloween as the drug receipts holiday. Every year, more and more, you can expect us to really celebrate and make a big deal about Halloween. It is the most on-brand holiday and really speaks to a lot of our core values and a lot of our history. So love it. Jesse, that's awesome. Trevor, it's awesome. Can't wait. we're going to wrap it up now, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks and congratulations to the Niceleys, the Nicely household, for winning Drug Wars. Thanks to all of you that participated and voted. Remember, we've got the the battle of the bosses going on. It's going on right now, so get in there and vote. You're still eligible to win a fluff in the Fluff Lottery. Follow our socials, subscribe and like us on YouTube. Guys, I'm going to finish on one more skeptical note just to tie it all together. But earlier I mentioned Brian Dunning and Skeptoid, which is a great skeptical resource. He has a lot of audio content that you can look up. But another titan of skepticism, another hero of mine, is a guy named Steven Novella. He is a neurologist. He has a blog where he covers skeptical themes called Neurologica. He's got a science-based medical site, which is a great reference, called Science-Based Medicine. He is one of the hosts of the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. But I'm going to finish off with a quote from him that speaks to the value and the importance of skepticism and a lot of the themes that we've discussed here today. But he says, this is Steven Novella, he says, "The scientifically illiterate risk throwing away time, money, and emotions invested in false hopes," right? And so this speaks to all of us. For those of you that, for those that say that, what are the consequences? So what, I want to believe in ghosts, or so what if, if I want to take natural medicines. We risk throwing away time, money, and emotions when we invest in false hopes. Steven Novella goes on to say that we are the products of evolution, and if we don't recognize these pitfalls, we will make the same cognitive errors over and over again. We live in a democracy, and with that comes the responsibility to analyze and act upon huge amounts of information. But we haven't been given the tools to make those decisions. So if nothing else, in some small way, what we are trying to do here with Drug Receipts is to give you those tools. So we can never be accused of not having those tools again. And so that we don't have to throw away our time, money, and emotions investing in false hopes. So on that note, thank you all, Drug Snugglers. We love you a lot. This is so much fun. This has been a really exciting episode. Can't wait to see you at the Halloween parties. Can't wait to see you in the Discord. Can't wait to get those claim forms out. We'll see you in the Discord. Have another drink on us. All right. You got the knees, the nipples. Let's go. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.